Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the magical Moncton Coliseum. Most often known as the victory in Coliseum to Moncton. Magic fans, as part of our ongoing commitment to reducing waste, we have gone and paperless. Please refer to our website, monctonmagic.ca, or any of our social media outlets for tonight's rosters and other breaking news. All right, Moncton, it's time to introduce Magic's #1 fan. Let's make some noise for Duncan!
Good evening and welcome to the Moncton Coliseum for our game this evening featuring the home side Moncton Magic taking on the visitors from Cape Breton, the Cape Breton Highlanders. I'm Scott Squires along with my broadcast partner David Tingley. And David, second time in a row that we've gotten to see the Cape Breton Highlanders. We had them here a couple of nights ago. A tenacious side from Cape Breton, but Moncton came out on top with the victory. But Coach Rob Spahn not quite done tinkering with this Cape Breton lineup.
Bringing in a familiar face to all of our broadcast listeners out there, Moncton fans. Tydron Beatty back in town and bringing his high-flying style and kind of fan-friendly game out here to the Coliseum on a Thursday night. And the fans here will be pleased to see him for sure.
Well, talking to Coach Rob Spahn the other day, he was talking about it was a very young team and he knew it. That particular game, they had brought in Hakeem Johnson, a veteran. That was his first game. He'll see his second game now, and now bringing in another veteran. So Coach Rob Spahn likes the youth, but he knows that he needs a couple of vets to kind of guide the way, and who better than Tydron Beatty and Hakeem Johnson.
Well, grit and effort are good, and we saw a lot of that in spades from Cape Breton the other night, but you got to score, and Hakeem Johnson and Tydron Beatty can do that.
Tim Mitchell going up against 32. That's Ali Ahmed. And the Highlanders will control right off the tip. Welcome to all of you fans watching on NBL Canada Live as well as TV1. We are glad to have you with us. Cape Breton will look to get a little better start than they had the other day. Ahmed has that ball tipped right back to him. Takes it strong in against three defenders. And a nice look there for Ali Ahmed as he gets the Highlanders on the board first.
And a new starting lineup here for Cape Breton as well. Daquan Brooks cut by the team, and they're going for a much larger starting lineup than they did in the first matchup.
Here's Anthony Anderson now, cuts in against man. Nice ball movement over to Stewart. Corner three from Terry Thomas. Fifth leading scorer in the NBL so far, averaging about 22 points a game. Couldn't get the range there, and the Highlanders will bring it back now. This is Charles Mann. Mann will be looking to run the floor now with Daquan Brooks, as you mentioned, not in there anymore. So the ball handling and floor generalship will go to Charles Mann for the most part, as we see Hakeem Johnson drive in. And a lineup note as well for the Moncton Magic, stemming from an incident a couple of games ago. Marquise Clayton, the effective rookie for the Moncton Magic, with a suspension, not in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, he'll have to learn a little bit from the sidelines and watching on game film from Salerno filling his ear on that end instead of on the court.
Duke Mondi, great player and a nice look there, and all of a sudden it's an early 4-0 lead for the visitors as the Highlanders look to get the jump here on the Magic early going.
And Monty's been everything for the Cape Breton Highlanders so far, and showing why there. He's got a mix of everything to his game.
Terry Thomas tried to go left then back to right against the defense of Ari Stewart, and the ball get knocked out of play, but last touched by the Highlanders. So with 12 seconds on the shot clock, Terry Thomas will inbound. Gets into Al Stewart. Mondi D'd up on him. Stewart trying to go in through a crowd. And one of the things that Coach Rob Spahn said to me before the game was that in that game the other night against the Highlanders, he felt that Al Stewart had far too much room and was able to cut through their defense far too easily, far too many times. So we'll see if the Highlanders clamp down a little bit on Al Stewart in this game.
He had one of those classic Al Stewart lines, double-figure scoring, lots of assists, lots of rebounds, lots of steals. That classic Al Stewart line just fills up the box score. But he's got a tough matchup tonight opposite him, Duke Mondi. We didn't get a chance to get in Al's ear a little bit before the game, talk about how Duke Mondi is leading the league in steals. That would poke at Mr. Two Times there, the two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Al Stewart.
So the Magic looking to get on the board here, just a minute and a half into this contest. Nice look inside as Anderson takes it to the right side, kicks it all the way back out to Jeremy Williams, and Williams, a little bit of a misstep on the footwork there. He travels with it, so a turnover, and the Magic not quite finding their stride here in the first minute and a half.
A great defensive rotation there by Ali Ahmed, stepping up on the former MVP AA.
So the new player to the lineup, Tydron Beatty, keep an eye on him when he's out there. He will be wearing number 8 for this Cape Breton Highlander squad. He's on the bench to start this one, but you know he'll get in there before too long.
There's those nice quick hands of Al Stewart.
Here's Thomas now on the fast break in transition and off glass. No problem there for Terry Thomas. Good defense, nice transition, and the bucket from Lucky 13 for the Magic, Terry Thomas. Hakeem Johnson puts it on the floor. Corner three for Mann. And man, no problem there as he points to Johnson for the nice dish.
Johnson's such a threat up top when he puts the ball on the floor. Everybody's got to be aware, and somebody had a turned head there.
Terry Thomas now gets it to Al Stewart. Quick ball movement on the perimeter by the Magic. Big Tim Mitchell, now the two 32s come together. Mitchell against Ahmed, and Ahmed commits the foul. So good movement there as Mitchell cut across the baseline and forced Ahmed.
And Tim's alternated a couple of really strong games with some disappearing act games a little bit lately due to foul trouble. He's coming off another one in the first of these matchups, but it really goes to show just how strong this Magic lineup is when a guy like Tim can have his struggles he did the other night. 2 points, no rebounds for one of the league's leading rebounders. And also Corey Allman off the bench after coming off a super strong game the previous outing was almost non-existent from outside too. Goes to show two guys that strong can struggle, and the Magic still put up over 115 points.
So success on both free throws for Mitchell. 7-4 game now. Highlanders by 3. Johnson gets it over to Mondi. Mondi calls for Osiandi to come out. Now he does a switch with him. Osiandi just checked into the game. And Hakeem Johnson trying to hit from that same corner that the Highlanders hit from there a moment ago, but the ball goes out of bounds and it'll be turned over to the Magic.
And that top screen and roll is a staple of every NBL Canada offense. It depends on how well you defend it, and the Cape Breton Highlanders have that size and strength and skill up top to run it well.
Al Stewart now. Mondi watches him. That's the matchup we'll keep an eye on all night. Terry Thomas out on him as Stewart. Inside to Williams. Williams just takes a quick little step back and drains the smooth jumper. Nice look there from Jeremy Williams.
And that's matchup number 2 to watch out there, fans. Hakeem Johnson and Jeremy Williams. Jeremy coming off a 29-point outing previous game. And Johnson was dynamic in his own right.
And that pass inside, mishandled there. So again, another turnover. And Al Stewart will bring it up now for the Magic.
And it's early and numbers can lie, but the Moncton Magic defense ranked number 1 as far as points allowed in the league so far. And that's coming off a couple of very strong outings where they force a lot of turnovers.
Jeremy Williams, contested 3. Goes off the front of the rim, and it comes down into the hands of the Highlanders. They'll bring it back the other way. 7-6 your score. Just the first few minutes of this first quarter. And Hakeem Johnson took it in strong against Thomas. And Thomas contesting that call from the referee. Our officials tonight, Brett Stalker, Matt Boyle, and J.P. Richard.
And Hakeem Johnson's got great handles, along with the ability to rise and fire and find the open man. He's got a great handle. He's a handful to deal with on the perimeter.
Williams guarding the inbound. Hakeem Johnson gets it to man. He'll dish now to Mondi. Mondi goes behind the back. Nice move. Jumper from 12 feet, and Mondi. Great sequence there, and Mondi hits the jumper. 9-6 Highlanders. Good start for Cape Breton.
Yeah, he's feeling it. And when you're able to discard Al Stewart that easily and knock it down, I'd be celebrating myself.
Terry Thomas now, Osiandi on him. Physical play there by Osiandi, just ripped the ball out of Thomas's hands, and Thomas right back the other way. Great play there by Thomas. He goes off the glass, takes it strong, and Thomas down to the floor, and he'll go to the line, but Thomas had it turned over, but then stayed with it, showed great tenacity to force a turnover of his own.
Terry's got that reckless abandon that he plays with. You always find him peeling himself off the floor 5 or 6 times a game, rubbing something.
We're going to have to start an over-under on how many times Thomas is involved in a big collision that sends him down to the floor. As you said, he just is all out, and a lot of times he can just kind of take it strong and ends up on the floor and then bounces right back up. But he is definitely an energy guy for this Moncton squad.
Yeah, for Moncton fans, he's kind of this year's version of Tydron Beatty. Different in a lot of ways, but not in that reckless abandon way in which he plays with.
So that was the first foul on Osiandi. Highlanders now setting up in their half court. We are back to tied. Inside, nice feed. Now they'll go to the corner. Trying to get it there was Harrison. And I think Harrison stepped on the line. He doesn't think so, but again, early on, a couple of unforced turnovers here for the Highlanders. Coach Rob Spahn won't like that.
And that's that's that little defensive stuff that Al does, along with the big stuff, the number stuff, that solid, just emphatic closeout that he does, making you step back and in that case, step right out of bounds.
Harrison tried to kick that ball away, went under his legs to Mitchell, and Mitchell using that big frame to drive his body toward the bucket. He'll go to the line to shoot 2.
And that's the way that Timmy can really be effective. If he's using his body using his skills for good and not evil. Those physical plays that he plays with at the defensive end that get him sent to the bench with 3 and 4 fouls a couple times recently. It's that end of the floor that he can impose his will and make these other big guys in this league step out and play him, and he can just take that contact and just throw it off so easy.
So it was Osiondi again committing the foul. That's 2 straight Osiondi fouls on Mitchell, and Mitchell hits the back end. So already 2 trips to the line for Big Tim Mitchell. That's a good sign for the Magic. Johnson now, Jeremy Williams on him. Johnson tried to get cute with it and go between the legs and ended up fooling himself as it went off his heel. And again, the Highlanders turn it over.
There seem to be some clock problems. If you're getting a shot of that on the live stream, we'll see what's going on with that. The clock was running a little bit, and now the score is updated, 11-9 for the home squad.
So the officials now over at the scorer's bench, making sure everything is straightened out. 11-9 is your score, 2-point lead for the Magic. Cape Breton got out to a good run and got the lead early, but the Magic have kind of settled in a little bit here down the stretch. And there again is DeMarcus Harrison. He's now out on one-on-one versus Al Stewart.
And Tydron Beatty making his first appearance.
So keep an eye on number 8 in blue, Tydron Beatty, seeing his first action for the Highlanders. Again, as you mentioned, David, no stranger to this floor in Moncton or these fans.
And he's a rim punisher if he gets the ball on the open floor, the half court for that matter.
Anthony Anderson now dishes to Stewart, back to Anderson. Those guys play catch, 7 seconds on the shot clock. Stewart back to Anderson from 3. Bounces off iron. Good job by Williams to grab that board, but again, Williams travels with it, turns it over, and the official saying that Williams took 4 steps.
And that is true. There's no doubt about it.
Now, if you're in the NBA, sometimes you get 6 or 7, but
or 8 or 9 if you're James Harden, or.
But in the NBL, they're calling it by the book. So both teams committing some turnovers here early on. 6:25 to go, and Beatty looking to get his first points. Couldn't get the shot to drop, and the Magic will bring it right back the other way with Al Stewart. And Williams from outside can't find the range, rolls around the rim, right down into the hands of Charles Mann. Mann gets it up for Hakeem Johnson. Terry Thomas guarding him. Coming out to give some help there was Ferguson. Short jumper from Johnson, no problem, and the Highlanders hanging tough. We're knotted again. It's 11-11.
That mid-range game, he's got such bounce, and he can just get that shot off so easy if you give him any open space at all.
Over halfway through this first quarter, Williams slashes to his right, and coming over to put a hand on that was Seamus Ferguson. So Williams with the strong move, Ferguson with the D, and it's going to be a foul call as they're saying that Ferguson got the hack.
Lots of ball, but got him on the follow-through on the shoulder. And he can rise up there with the best of them, can Seamus Ferguson.
So, of course, we've got this game, and we're glad that you're tuned in wherever you're watching us, either on TV1, powered by Bell Alliant, on 5, or, of course, on the live stream through NBL Canada TV. But after this game, a game taking place in the Eastern time zone that you'll be able to catch a good portion of, taking place after this one, and that's kind of a must-watch after this game.
Yeah, when we're done here, and not a second before that, people, but when we're done here, make sure you switch over to the London Lightning feed and take in London and St. John, in a matchup of 2 what look to be early, very strong contenders, along with, I'd say, the teams that have distinguished themselves so far would be, I would say, St. John and Moncton, and Windsor to an extent too. But also the team I'm forgetting. The
River Lions.
River Lions, thank you, Niagara. Good grief. Excuse me, Niagara fans, if you're tuning in. I'll get you in a second. But yeah, I mean, those teams really. And look, put London in that group. They're only 1-1, but listen, they're the defending champs, and they got Royce White, and they got Williams. They got who they got. So, but tune in, fans. That's going to be a real entertaining matchup. You got Royce White on one end. You got Gabe Freeman, who's been unconscious through 2 games for St. John.
He's leading the league offensively by a long shot at this point. But, yeah, that's going to be a good one. And, you know, we've talked about it away from the broadcasts over the early stage of the season, but it appears that pretty much every team in the league, and along with the new addition, the St. John's Edge, but everybody improved.
Well, and a lot of that you can attribute to the improvement of the Canadians, as you can do every single year. And speaking of that point, and Niagara, if you haven't checked out Marvell Waith yet, and please, Niagara fans, hit me up if I'm missing the pronunciation on that, but I don't believe I am, the Canadian KD, and he's showing why he's earned that nickname through 3 games for Niagara.
So 5:46 left to play in this first quarter. 11-11 is your score. Williams to the line after Ferguson took his first foul of the contest. Jeremy Williams, the former saxophone player, telling me last week he's from a very musical family. His brother and sister play instruments as well. I told him, I said, you should be like the Partridge Family, get on the road in the off-season, have a family band.
Are you ever a former saxophone player? He doesn't play anymore? Like,
well, I don't know. Maybe we can get him to get it out of the case.
That's going to be definitely an interview on the monctonmagic.ca website at some point.
So 12-11, 1-point lead for the Magic. Johnson bounce pass inside, and that could be a good combination all season. And the big smile on Tydron Beatty's face as he points back to Johnson and says, yeah, you can feed me like that all night, big man.
Yeah, Tydron does play with a smile on his face, freewheeling like that. He's constantly looking for seeking out the contact and seeking a path to the rim. And Timmy Mitchell got in his way there, and that's a good first foul for Timmy, certainly, not a waste.
A la Steph Curry chewing on the mouth guard as he shoots those free throws. Beatty, native of Union, South Carolina, went to Benedict College in the same state, South Carolina. First game for the Highlanders, but Cape Breton fans will love this guy, and he'll bring a lot to this Highlander squad.
Yeah, and the key to him is to play within himself, play under control. If you can play under control, if you can kind of tame those horses that Tydron's got under the hood, then you're going to get a great player for sure.
Mitchell tried to go strong inside, thought about getting it back to Allman, but went out of bounds. I think Mitchell, when he realized it was going out of bounds, tried to get it off a Highlander player, but it's Highlander ball, and they'll bring it up the floor.
Just really well defended by Seamus Ferguson down there.
Getting ready to check into the game, Anthony Cox for the Magic. Meanwhile, Thomas defending on Johnson. Johnson steps back for 3 and gets it to roll off the rim and in. So Hakeem Johnson, with the defender right in his face, just calmly stepped back and drains the tray.
He's got that dribble right, back through the legs, rise and fire move, down to a science.
Anderson penetrates with the dribble, kicked it to Williams. Williams couldn't get it to go, and grabbing the rebound is Hakeem Johnson. Hakeem showing all kinds of dividends for this Cape Breton Highlander team. He played well the other night in his first game, got a little of that game rust off, and looking very strong here for the Highlanders early on. Here's Beatty, he puts it up from 3, and Beatty, right now the Highlanders on fire from outside the arc.
Not the strength of Tydron's game by any stretch of the imagination, but he can knock it down when he's feeling it.
So a 5-point lead all of a sudden for the Highlanders. They're on a 6-0 run.
And he gets caught in a switch with Anthony Anderson. You figure that would be a mismatch, but he's so long and rangy.
Thomas didn't like the defense on the perimeter, decides to take it inside strong and gets the bucket. Good move by Terry Thomas.
And they're going to need more of that from Terry. Terry was a little bit quiet for himself in the first matchup here.
And again, bombs away from the Highlanders. Man couldn't get the range from outside, and Thomas will bring it back up the floor. 3-point lead. Corner 3 for Corey Allman, and as he put on his Instagram post earlier today, sniper in the house, and he snipes that one from the corner.
Yeah, it's a good sign for Corey. As he was talking about earlier, he was very quiet here the other night, but not quiet on that one.
And then answering right back is DeMarcus Harrison, so it's 3 balls all the way. It's Splash City on both sides of the floor right now.
Get out your umbrellas, people in the building.
3-point lead, Jeremy Williams now from downtown. Thought he might get the Coliseum bounce, but it doesn't. It comes down to DeMarcus Harrison. Harrison gives it off now to Beatty. Beatty in a crowd again, steps back from the free throw line. And that was just short, but both teams right now not shy about putting it up from range.
No, and every shot looks like it's going in. But this has been a little bit of the 3-point line has been a little bit of a struggle for the Magic so far. Under 30% through 4 games coming into this one. I figure you gotta assume is gonna rise with guys like Anthony Anderson under 30% himself and won't stay there, and Corey Allman coming off a couple of games of struggles, but you figure these guys will put it together from the line at some point.
Right now the Magic only 1 of 6 from outside the arc. Little better, 3 of 4 for the Highlanders. 2:45 to go. 3-point lead for Cape Breton. Double A goes in through a crowd. Ahmed was right in his face and he contested the shot, and coming down with the rebound is Duke Mondi. Quick outlet to Johnson. Johnson puts it on the floor, goes right back to Ahmed. Look at Ahmed back his man in. He just took Denzel Taylor about 2 or 3 steps closer to the basket and got the shot to go. Confident start here for the Highlanders in this first quarter.
And Ahmed caused the Magic troubles the other night, and he's doing so again. But Terry Thomas talking to the Highlanders bench a little bit on the way by, telling them about it with a finger roll.
I think Terry Thomas trying to get the rest of his teammates to follow his lead. He's had a couple of times now where he's just taken that ball strong through the paint. Defense now on Johnson. Hakeem Johnson tried to go up, went off the side of the backboard. And 2 minutes exactly left to play here in an energetic first quarter. 22-19 your score. I'm Scott Squires. My broadcast partner is David Tingley. And we are very glad to have you here for this broadcast of the Moncton Magic. The 5th game on the season for the Magic. They're 2-2. They've won 2 in a row. And a couple of the players said today, you don't get a streak until you win your 3rd in a row, and that's what they're looking to do here tonight on the home floor. Anderson, 13 on the shot clock, takes it strong against Ahmed. And Ahmed again, good defense. Thomas, wide open jumper. Off iron and down into the hands of Beatty. Here comes Tydron. Tydron, half Euro step there, takes it strong to the bucket. Cox with the defense, but Beatty showing that veteran presence. Not bothered at all by the defense, takes it strong to the rack.
And he's a problem in the open floor. You can't let him get ahead of steam. He's going to make some mistakes and cause some turnovers, but he's going to make so much good stuff happen if you get him that much space, 94 feet.
75 seconds left. Thomas dumps it off to Cox. Cox right along the baseline. Awkward looking spin move. Couldn't get the bucket, and back come the Highlanders now. Mondi floats into the lane. Little runner with the one leg lifted into the air, and he gets that one to go. And right now the Highlanders feeling it from all over the floor.
And it's out of sorts at the offensive end that's causing problems at both ends for the Magic.
Under a minute to go, 51.8 now as Ahmed goes down to the floor underneath the pressure of Anderson. And Al Stewart will check back in.
Yeah, and I was saying, I had a feeling that Coach Salerno will go back to Al here anytime. I thought maybe he would leave Double A on and play them together, get this game a little bit under control, but he's going to Al by himself.
You want to know how well the Highlanders are doing besides leading by 10? Make that 9 now. They're shooting just under 69% from the floor.
Yeah, and that speaks to the quality of shots that they're getting at one end and the Magic at the other end, and it's really all tied together. The Magic not getting the shots they want, turning the ball over, or not crashing the boards, frankly, and giving Cape Breton lots of opportunity to run. And when you give these guys, athletes like this, opportunity to run, they're going to create wide open shots and layups.
So a correction on the score clock. 26-21, so it's a 5-point lead for the Highlanders, but still, it's been a very good first quarter so far with 45 seconds left to go. Coach Rob Spahn, you would think, has to feel very good about what his team has done here. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Mondi all the way cross court, wide open over there is Harrison. Harrison, no good. Allman back the other way. About an 8 or 9 second differential between shot and game clock. 15 on the shot clock now. Corey Allman spins away under the defensive pressure. Tried to swing it out to Stewart, and stepping right into it was Mondi. Mondi dishes off there, and calmly Jamal Reynolds takes that feed. And some good transition from defense to offense by the Highlanders, and they extend the lead to 7.
It was another terrible turnover. Corey Allman would love that one back, but see Al can create here at the end of the clock.
Tries to put the trick shot up there, and with .1 left in the quarter, Al Stewart doesn't like the call, neither do the fans.
A little taste of his own medicine there from Jamal Reynolds.
Well, .1, I don't even know. Can you even do a catch and shoot?
It's got to be an alley-oop, so they're going to...
Ahmed tried to be lightning quick with it. So the quarter comes to a close, and it was a good one for the Cape Breton Highlanders. They have a 28-21 lead after 12 minutes. And talking to Coach Rob Spahn before the game, you know, I asked him, I said, hey, second game now for the veteran Hakeem Johnson. You're adding another veteran in Tydron Beatty. He looked at me with a wink and a smile and said, you know, we played pretty well the other night. He goes, but I think we have a little better shot tonight.
Well, absolutely. You add these. I mean, imagine this offense. You add 2 really dynamic guys, and you could say where are the weaknesses in our offense during our opening couple of games. I would have said it would have been creativity and size on the wing, and that's what you get in spades with Tydron Beatty and Hakeem Johnson. Creativity, size on the wing, aggressiveness. You get defensive long length at the defensive end as well, and these guys are going to add lots of good stuff if you just throw them out there and let them play.
Leading scorers for the Highlanders in that first quarter. The new guy to the lineup, Tydron Beatty, 2 of 4 from the floor, 6 points. Also 1 of 2 from the line. Duke Mondi with 6 as well. And for the Moncton Magic, well, Terry Thomas, he did everything he could in that first quarter to try and change the tide for the Magic. He has 9 points. Tim Mitchell with 4. But probably the biggest statistic that stands out or jumps off the page, if you will, from that first quarter, the Cape Breton Highlanders shot just over 63% from the floor and a very lethargic 37.5% for the Magic. Those numbers are going to have to change if Moncton doesn't want Cape Breton to keep doing what they just did in that first 12.
Yeah, and I think if you watched all of the Magic games so far, I mean, 0-2 start, and then a 2-2. What didn't change was a feeling of maybe a little bit of if you saw it as an uneducated or not knowing these guys, maybe as a little bit of an indifferent effort. When I think it is a little bit of focus. These guys know how good they are, and they know that if they play their best, that most teams are not going to be able to stick with them, and it gives them a little bit of, I think they need a little bit of a step up in focus here from time to time as a 5-man unit. They get it from 3-4 guys and maybe not a 5-man unit consistently so far.
So as we start this second quarter, Cox is out there with Stewart. And Allman from the corner, and they will love that from Corey Allman, who hits for 3.
That's what Corey does. You get him standing still, those puppies set. He's going to rise and fire every time and make more than he misses.
Harrison now being watched by Allman. And Allman knocks it away, but it goes out of bounds. It'll stay in possession of the Highlanders. Jamal Reynolds, Canadian out of Toronto, Ontario, will come over to inbounds for Cape Breton. 4-point lead for the Highlanders. Mondi dishes. Beatty takes it in strong against Taylor. And Taylor hounded that shot just enough that it missed, and back comes Terry Thomas. Thomas gives it to Allman, almost the same spot. Couldn't get that one to drop, but underneath is Cox for the rebound. Cox had it go off the backboard. And here comes Beatty all the way, and Beatty puts it down with authority. Tydron Beatty making his presence felt for the Highlanders.
The call from me on this mic used to be the Tydron Beatty hates rims, and there it is. It's the first example of it for you new Moncton fans. That's what Tydron can bring.
Cox now takes it inside. Battle for it underneath the bucket, and coming down with a good work there from Denzel Taylor. Terry Thomas now slows it down. 17 on the shot clock. Thomas faked the shot up, now dishes inside to Cox. Cox against 2 defenders. Tried to feed it in there to Taylor. Crazy play now. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and Allman says, you know what? Enough's enough. Let me just put this ball through the bucket.
It's kind of an ugly scatter shot. That's the way you drew it up. Sarcastic kind of offense there from the Magic, but it worked out, and improbably, it's a 3-point game. Feel in the building as a Magic fan sitting here, it's probably 15.
That shot, no good from the Highlanders, and Terry Thomas again with the pace. And Thomas, every time, takes it in strong, and he doesn't like the call. Looks back to the bench, and Coach Joe Salerno now walking along the sideline right in front of our broadcast position. I'm not sure that he's overly thrilled with the call either.
Well, Tydron was standing there waiting for a good long time. I think their argument is he was too far into the hoop to make it a good call. But, I mean, look, the story so far, just messy offense from the Magic. Somehow they've kept it within 3 here. But you just get this feeling. Cape Breton's played pretty well, and Moncton's just scuffling, but it's only a 3-point game.
Mitchell back into the game along with Jeremy Williams for the Magic. Here's Beatty again. Puts the shot up. And I think he's going to go to the line, but certainly you can see the difference that Tydron Beatty has made to this Cape Breton lineup tonight versus what we saw from Cape Breton the other night.
Yeah, the explosiveness. And he's got that little herky-jerky jump shot that kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit. He goes up, kind of have that Michael Jordan era. He goes up, and then you start coming down, and he's still up there. And Denzel got caught a little bit there and reached forward, and he's got that kind of a double clutch element to his shot too that makes it awkward, and you think you got him closed out, and then you're too far in, you hit him on the elbow.
And just in the corner of your frame for a moment there, you saw Coach Joe Salerno in the ear of the officials. Meanwhile, Beatty calmly from the line, chewing on that mouth guard, and he is looking pretty comfortable out there in Highlander blue. So it's a 5-point lead. Highlanders by that 5 point, 32-29 now after that bucket from Denzel Taylor.
And Al Stewart with the pretty setup, one of the leading assist guys in the league yet again.
Osiandi, and that shot, not sure where it was going. He almost got a crazy bounce off the backboard, but right there underneath to gather up the loose ball was Reynolds, and Reynolds puts it back home. And
Coach Salerno is concerned about why there wasn't a call with the ball going off the top of the backboard.
And it definitely did. It
yeah.
went off the top of the backboard. It came down, almost went in. Allman all the way from Campbellton hits that three.
When he gets hot, it's like the old NBA jam, "You're on fire," that we talked about the other night, and there it is.
So it looks like Osiandi, I believe that's going to be his third.
Third, yeah. And I thought they had gotten Denzel for pushing out, and I was a little bit concerned about it, but no, he was a physical blockout by Denzel, and that's exactly what he's given Magic fans in his early NBLC career here.
Yeah, nice looking player is number 5, wearing the grays for the Magic, Denzel Taylor, as you mentioned, from Brampton, Ontario, attended Old Dominion University, and he's played some very good minutes for this Magic team, as has this guy. Corey Allman takes it in strong. Lollipop-looking shot. I think a fingertip might have hit that one on the way up, and here come the Highlanders. Mondi stops, pops, and drains from outside the arc. Claps the hands. Duke Mondi loving it.
Yeah, and he's shooting 58% on 6 3 attempts a game.
Mitchell now gives it off to Allman. Allman uses Mitchell as a screen, puts the ball over now to Williams. Williams gets it back inside to Mitchell. Mitchell a little too strong with that attempt, and it comes down again to Mondi.
Love that aggressiveness from Tim, though. Just put your head down and make that move and make stuff happen. That's going to go in more often than it doesn't for Timmy.
37-32, 5-point lead for the Highlanders, and there's Denzel Taylor out defensively on Hakeem Johnson. And I think that's going to be Taylor's second. It is indeed. So 2 fouls on Taylor.
I love the challenge, though. Get right in. He knows Hakeem Johnson's done good work and taking the ball to the hoop and putting the ball on the floor for Cape Breton. I love the challenge he took on there, get up in his grill.
And with 10 seconds on the shot clock, Mondi again hits the shot and
he's feeling himself.
Got the bit of the gunslinger look as he comes back up the floor. A confident-looking bunch from Cape Breton right now. This Moncton Magic team hanging around, though, down by 7. Williams stepping out on him as Stewart. Aggressive D, and Williams tried to step into him, and Ari Stewart puts the hands to the head. Seems completely shocked by the call, but players are always shocked, aren't they, when they get a foul called on them?
Yeah, there's never been a foul they've actually committed in their entire lives, I think, for some of these guys, but it comes along with the territory. You're intense, you're down in a stance, you're challenging your matchup, and Jeremy Williams rubbing that shoulder. We saw him kind of tweak a little bit the other night.
Well, speaking about never committed a foul in their lives, we had 2 firsts in the NBA this past season, or this past week. LeBron James got his first ever ejection, and then last night Anthony Davis hasn't played as many years as LeBron, but Anthony Davis from the Pelicans got his first career ejection.
Both were richly deserved. They earned every part of that ejection, both of those guys.
Well, here in the NBL, just as much contesting of foul calls, but not the level of the ejections, which we're happy about. And the shot clock expires, and right now, just looking at the body language of the Moncton Magic, it just appears that they're not feeling overly in sync on offense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and we talked a little bit about it, it's not indifference, it's not lack of effort, it's not anything at all, it's not poor execution. It just seems to be a little bit of focus and togetherness with all 5 guys maybe comfortable with each other constantly on the floor. It looked very comfortable the last couple games, but, you know, just a little bit out of sync.
And Mann from outside, and Mann hits the bucket. Feed coming over from Hakeem Johnson, and Charles Mann just calmly drains the tray.
And the longer a visiting team like this, underdog, is allowed to stick around and build that confidence early, the more dangerous it makes them for the rest of the game. And these guys are, like I said, Duke Monty feeling himself. The rest of the team has hopped on that kind of train, and they all look super confident.
So, I mean, it's a double-digit lead right now, and Coach Joe Salerno just not feeling it for his Moncton side. He calls the timeout here with 6:52 to go in the second quarter, and again, a double-digit lead, 42-32 for the Cape Breton Highlanders. Cape Breton right now leading in most of the important categories. Points in the paint, they've got an advantage, 14-10. They've forced more turnovers than the Moncton Magic. Moncton right now, just looking at the stats, they've turned the ball over 8 times to only 5 for the Highlanders. And again, the percentage from the floor, Cape Breton has come down to earth a little bit, but still shooting 60%, 17 of 28 from the floor. And Moncton still struggling, 10 of 26 for just 38.5%. So up and down the statistics, and on the scoreboard right now, it's advantage Highlanders.
Yeah, and a couple things that kind of stick out a little bit is, for me, would be who's going to be the guy when in this situation. Maybe it's at the end of the game, you know, when you need that one shot. Maybe it's a situation like this when the whole crew is kind of scuffling, you're searching for answers. Who's going to be that one guy on a team of stars, really? There's a lot of stars in this team. Who's going to be that guy that steps up and the guys look to take things over? You'd think Anthony Anderson, but then you turn to your left, and there's Terry Thomas. You turn to your right, there's Al Stewart, there's Anthony Cox, there's Terrell Baines. So there's an endless amount of people to go to, but who's that one guy that's going to grab it by the reins and say, guys, follow me, let's go?
Well, you mentioned Terrell Baines. I want to say a big hello to his mom, Patricia, watching down in South Carolina. So, Patricia, we're very glad that you're tuned in, watching the Moncton Magic and watching your son, Terrell Baines from Greenville, South Carolina, do his thing. And you know, it's great. So many of the parents, not only if they're not able to make it to the game they watch, we also have parents actually make the trip up and come watch the games live at the Coliseum. So, great to see.
Absolutely.
Terry Thomas again. Thomas has that football mentality. He just lowers the head sometimes, almost like a running back, trying to go through an offensive line. And again, he drops the head and goes into a crowd. And just Terry Thomas is that energy guy, and I don't think he knows any other way to play.
He really doesn't, and I think the Cape Breton's a little bit frustrated with with a 10-point spread. This could be even worse. I mean, they've got some. Moncton's really gotten away with some. Gotten the break on the whistle a little bit at this end with some physical Cape Breton play that have taken some shots on the numbers from Moncton Magic and getting the block instead of the charge.
Thomas this time faked the charge through the lane, steps back and hits the pretty-looking three.
That's just a really difficult shot from a guy that the three-pointer isn't his favorite shot already.
7-point lead, 42-35. Highlanders lead. They've led for the majority of the game. Hakeem Johnson hits it all the way from Mabu. Hakeem Johnson, talk about looking comfortable. 10 in blue is just that for the Highlanders right now. Terry Thomas has Hakeem Johnson out on him, gets it inside to Mitchell. Kick back out to Anderson, top of the key for Thomas, and again, 2 in a row for Terry Thomas. Thomas changing it up, going with the finesse game from outside.
And giving the primal scream there, searching for the steal at the defensive end as well. Looking back at his guys, going, come on.
Terry Thomas just trying to put the rest of his teammates on his back here from an energy perspective and do what he can. For the first few, it was take it, put the head down, and just charge into the lane. In the last couple, it's been, hey, let me just step back and show you what I can do from distance.
And Cape Breton do all this work as Charles Mann hits a little baby hook over Anthony Anderson. All this work done with Ari Stewart being largely silent here, the team's leading scorer. Such good work done by everybody else.
Anderson tried to use Mitchell as a screen. He did, and then Mitchell a little aggressive as he completely took Charles Mann down to the floor. And Rob Spahn, and Joe Salerno, both coaches now up off their bench, giving an earful to the referees.
And Coach Spahn wanted an unsportsmanlike foul called, and Brent Stalker, the referee, kind of waved it off and said there was a little bit of clutching and grabbing that precipitated the shedding from Tim Mitchell there.
And to our left, I know you don't see it on your screen, but again, Coach Joe Salerno having a chat this time with Brett Stalker. So 5:38 to go. Cape Breton will bring the ball up the floor. Mondi.
I'm sure Brett took detailed notes, and we'll take all of that into account before he blows his whistle next.
He'll get back to him later.
Yep.
Man, to Hakeem Johnson. Johnson well outside now. 7 seconds on the shot clock. He's got to do something with it. Decides to put up the 3 ball. No good that time, and skying in for the rebound is Jeremy Williams. Williams. Cross court to Anderson. Quick ball movement to Thomas. Thomas puts it on the floor. Baseline. Tried to feed it into Mitchell, and Mitchell had it knocked away. And the Magic again turn it over to the Highlanders.
And the Highlanders are giving the Magic a taste of their own medicine with all these deflections, being physical. And this is what the Magic did to them the other night here, right from the jump, and turning the tables a little bit of the Highlanders in this game.
Here's Ari Stewart now. Nice little spin move against Thomas. And the ball comes down into the hands of Mitchell. And I think Mondi got called there.
And Tim's got a mean mug on right now. He's ready to dig in and do some work down there on the boards, and he just did. That was just a good aggressive box out. Made him climb the back.
That's the second foul on Seamus Ferguson for the Highlanders. Anderson takes the ball around the top of the key and away from the play. Foul was called on against Mitchell, I believe, and again, that's Ferguson. So that's 2 quick ones against Seamus.
Again, the notes were taken, taken under advisement, and the next time down the floor, odd how much of that happens in the sport of basketball.
So another trip to the line for the big man, Tim Mitchell. 4:44 left to go here in the half. It's a 47-38 advantage for the Cape Breton Highlanders. And again, Cape Breton have led for much of the game. They outscored the Magic 28-21 in the first quarter and outscoring them 19-18 here in the second quarter. And
fans, if you like me, just got a notation on your phone that the live stream for the London Lightning game has begun. Do not be fooled. It doesn't start for a little bit. Stay here with us. Be entertained.
So Tim Mitchell right now perfect from the line. 6 for 6 on 3 trips.
Charles Mann got away with one a little bit. Some bad footwork.
Ahmed backing in Mitchell. Ahmed goes to the right hand. Nice spin move there from Ali Ahmed, looking very comfortable in the paint going up against the wide-bodied Mitchell.
Ari Stewart took a shot. Didn't see exactly what happened there, but...
So correction on that, Mitchell has missed one, so he's 5 of 6 from the line, but still not too bad. We can get Mitchell shooting that well from the free throw line. That's got to bode well for the Magic.
Yeah, and he's a 60% roughly free throw shooter last year. It's an area that he wanted to work on, and he has, for sure.
Anthony Anderson gliding through the lane against a couple of defenders, put the shot up against the defense of Ahmed, and now it'll be back the other way with it. This is Beatty. Dish inside to Ahmed. Ahmed faked the shot, got the defender to commit. Couldn't get the shot to go. A fight for it. Look at Ahmed with quick hands. Now it's Mondi all the way over to Johnson. Johnson
good closeout by AA.
Thomas tried to reach in there, but Beatty gets it. Beatty in a crowd now kicks it over to Mondi from the corner, and Mondi hits. So a wacky sequence ends up into the hands of the Highlanders, and Mondi from the corner extends the lead to a baker's dozen, 13.
And talked about him being the 3rd leading three-point shooter in the league, but easily the most efficient. And speaking of leading three-point shooters, Terry Thomas climbing that list in the first half.
Terry Thomas trying to find any way, shape, or form to get this Magic team back into the game, taking it inside, shooting from outside, all going well right now for Terry Thomas. But overall, going well for the Highlanders.
Good closeout there by Jeremy Williams. Forced a miss from Hakeem Johnson.
10-point lead now, Al Stewart. Charles Mann watches him closely. Stewart takes it down deep to the corner, dishes to Mitchell. Mitchell now will slow it down. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Feed inside. Thomas flying through there like Spider-Man. Gets it to go, and Terry Thomas pumps the fist. He's going to go to the line.
Looked like Odell Beckham Jr. across the middle, grabbing that with one hand on the feed from Al Stewart.
Great hands. He doesn't even need those sticky gloves like Odell Beckham Jr. and all the other NFL receivers use.
Are you intimating that there's some cheating going on there?
Well, I saw a story on those sticky gloves that the receivers use. I could probably make a one-handed catch at some point wearing those gloves.
Let's not exaggerate too much.
Okay, fair enough. 2:45 to go. The Magic have cut it now underneath double digits, but Mann steps up from downtown, front of the rim. Nice job by Cox underneath to grab that board and send Al Stewart right back with some pace. Stewart coast to coast, and Ahmed comes over and swats it away like a mosquito that was buzzing around his head.
He's been a real presence as Ahmed so far, and he's talking about it too.
Ali Ahmed went to Bakersfield and Cal State and is a native of Alexandria, Egypt, and he was princely right there on the defense, no doubt about it. And he played well the other night in the matchup. Did Ali Ahmed, 32 in blue?
Absolutely. Gave all kinds of fits to them down low. And speaking of fits, this just ultra-physical Cape Breton defense is frustrating players on all three levels. Screen setters, ball handlers, shooters. And the Magic are not letting it get to them a little bit, but certainly getting a little bit frustrated with their performance here.
So the foul was called on Cox, his first, and he had a little chat with the referee going up the floor. Nothing bad, just making sure he had some things straightened out. Meanwhile, Hakeem Johnson now uses Ahmed as a screen, takes it strong to the right hand off the glass. Hakeem Johnson, veteran player, veteran move.
And Al Stewart couldn't help quite the way he wanted, worried about the three-point shot in the corner.
And Al now cradles that ball, fed it to Williams, but again, that play whistled down before the completion of it as we get into now a bit of a whistle fest here in the last couple of minutes.
And we should talk a little bit, too, about Anthony Anderson and the defense of the Highlanders doing such good work on the former MVP. And I've been keeping an eye on that the last few possessions here because he's been so silent. And Duke Mondi and Charles Mann, doesn't matter who's on him, they have been really physical with him on the screens, and the communication of the Highlanders out top when Anthony Anderson has the ball has been incredible. And when he gets into that lane and does that lean in, take the contact, and finish, it's been Ali Ahmed meeting him at the rim and bother him into misses.
So Al Stewart now will try to convert from the line, and to hammer home your point about Anthony Anderson, a very good offensive player, the NBL's all-time leading scorer. We've mentioned it before, but it's worth mentioning. He's an iconic player right now. He's got 2 points. He's 0 from the floor, both points coming on free throws.
And really the only two players for the Magic that have made any sort of field goals, any sort of shots from the floor, Terry Thomas and Corey Ullman. Other than that, nobody's made a shot really in this first half.
So 8 points is the lead. And since the Cape Breton Highlanders got up by double digits for a very long stretch now, they've been leading from anywhere from 7, 8, 10, 11 points. They've maintained a fairly comfortable cushion.
That's right.
Harrison now being watched by Cox. 11 on the shot clock, 1:48 to go in the half. Bounce pass inside. Ahmed tried to feed it in, and Anderson with the good defense takes it away, and he'll carry it up the floor. Anderson goes off to Al Stewart. Stewart slashes through the lane, dumps it back to AA. Now a quick out to Williams, 12 on the shot clock. Right-hand runner from Jeremy Williams. And a nice look there from 21 in gray.
Good ball movement, a little three-man weave action with Al and AA and Jeremy Williams. Talented guys like that, you're going to get an open shot at some point. And speaking of open shots and talented guys,
Hakeem Johnson saw that he was open, took a look down long enough to make sure his toe was beyond the arc, and calmly drains the three.
He's been cold-blooded.
Cox
step back.
Gives it to Anderson. Heavy pressure defense. Corner for Williams. Front of the iron, and grabbing the rebound is DeMarcus Harrison.
And it's the visitors in blue that have been knocking those shots down, and the gray uniform Magic have been leaving them short.
Harrison gets it over to Johnson. 10 on the shot. Al Stewart on him. Big size mismatch there. Johnson steps back and calmly drains the 14-footer.
And Al did all that he can do on that size mismatch. Gave a good swipe at the ball and bothered him, but just able to rise and fire again was Hakeem Johnson.
23 to go in the half, 13 on the shot. Terry Thomas puts it on the floor. Johnson on the defense. Thomas steps back. He's been good from outside. No good on that one, but Williams grabs the rebound. Fresh shot clock, which is off now, and 10 seconds to go, and Jeremy Williams, valuable points there, and a timeout called here by Rob Spahn with 9.2 to go. 59-48 your score. Cape Breton will have the ball, so I'm sure that Coach Spahn wants to draw up something effective here for the last 9.2 to get a good offensive look and see if they can push that lead back to double digits going into the half.
Yeah, and you can bet that it's going to involve something with Hakeem Johnson. You can count on that for sure. So, I mean, look, we've talked about this being kind of a mental barrier more than anything else. Magic aren't going to be concerned whether this lead is 9 or 11 or 12 or 15. They're concerned with how this Highlanders team has been able to disrupt them so effectively on the offensive end and throw them completely off of their game so far in this first half.
And you talk about Hakeem Johnson. I mean, he brings that veteran leadership. There's obviously reasons why Coach Rob Spahn brought him in. It's his second game in the lineup. But so far this evening, through almost 2 complete quarters, 6 of 10 from the floor, 2 of 4 from outside the arc, 14 points. He's got a rebound as well as 4 assists. So, and just watching him out there, nothing seems to faze him. Whether he's wide open, whether he's in a crowd, you can just see that he's been there before and he's done it.
He's in some kind of a zone, and everything's really easy, and that's the way. It's the body language you move with, it's the confidence you show, it's the swagger. Not a lot of talking from him. It's just kind of a silent assassin so far in this game tonight for Cape Breton.
So here we go. Final possession, you would think. 6.5 to go. Let's see what Coach Rob Spahn has drawn up. Man tried to get inside. Great defense from Cox. Johnson going to have to hurry. No good at the buzzer.
Wouldn't have counted anyway. Really good job there by the Magic. They ran a couple of 3 screens at Jeremy Williams guarding Hakeem Johnson, and no go.
So Coach Joe Salerno will be much happier with that last sequence on defense. And again, it's all about little psychological things for the Magic. That half didn't really go the way that they wanted, obviously, but you know what? They go into the locker room at half, they're down, but it's that psychological double-digit number. They're not down by double digits. It's a 9-point lead, 59-50 for the Cape Breton Highlanders. We talked about the great job Hakeem Johnson has done. My goodness, Terry Thomas, 8 of 11 from the floor, David. 3 of 4 from three-point range, 20 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. I mean, what a half for Terry Thomas.
Where would they be without him? This could be much worse if Terry Thomas weren't 3 for 4 from three-point line and 8-11 overall. And Corey Allman, in his limited minutes, wasn't 4 for 5 from the 3. Well, imagine where this would be right now.
So before we step away for a halftime break, if you're Coach Rob Spahn, again, I've said this before, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're Rob Spahn, what are you saying to your guys?
Well, you're saying to the guys that never mind the 0-3 record, throw that out. Throw out the league MVPs and Canadian All-Stars and all that on the other side of the floor. Throw that out. You are frustrating this Magic lineup, and you're silencing the fans, and that silence has got to feel really sweet for this visiting squad.
Now, for Coach Joe Salerno, before the game, I spoke to him, and one of the things that he was very happy about was that he feels that his team defensively is more advanced at this point of the season than he thought they would be when he drew up the blueprint at the beginning of the season.
Well, that's always the situation. You're concerned about how quickly are things going to come together for us, and they've got to be pleased about things coming together this quickly in really 2 games with this squad. It's not been 3 or 4 or 5. It's been 2 games.
And to that point, he also mentioned that right now, you know, he's happy because statistically the Magic leading the league defensively, but the Cape Breton Highlanders on pace to get 118. We know things typically tighten up in the second half, but Coach Joe Salerno, put your coach's head on again for a moment, David. You know, what is he saying to his guys right now in the room?
Well, it's all about, for him, I would think, it would be all about execution and intensity and maintaining. Look, guys, here's what we worked on in practice, and bring that out onto the floor in a way that's going to be entertaining for the fans, but entertaining for yourselves. I mean, have some fun. The guys look tight. They look like they're not having any fun out there. They're a little bit down. But just bring that enthusiasm to the game. You know, take some chances. play in a physical, loose, fun manner the way that Cape Breton is, because if you're both playing the same style, who's got more talent? Okay, who's got more talent? And I think anybody would say that the Magic are certainly the more talented squad, but Cape Breton's really showing out. Their big players are all playing big, except for, and this is a shocking statistic to me, if you just told me that Ari Stewart will be scoreless from the floor on one shot in the first half, I'd have said that was a trouble for Cape Breton, but it certainly hasn't been so far.
Well, for the most part, the Cape Breton Highlanders will want more of the same, and the Moncton Magic are going to want to change a couple of things in the second half. The second half just a little over 11 minutes away. We're going to step aside and take a break. After one half of play, it was a pretty successful one for the visitors from Cape Breton. The Highlanders leading the home side Magic by a score of 59-50. You're watching Moncton Magic basketball. We'll be back.
And number 2 for the Moncton Magic, Maggie, age 8, 4'1". Almost. There we go. All right, Maggie. Congratulations. And I can smell those from here, by the way, just thought I'd let you know. All right, thanks, girls.
Scott Squires here with Magic TV, and speaking of Magic, we've got a big Magic man right here, the big man for the Moncton Magic. This is Anthony Cox. Anthony, first of all, just a couple of games into the season, but what's your take on the team so far?
I'm enjoying myself. I can honestly say that this is like an amazing season so far. It's so early. We are having so much fun. So much fun.
Now, veteran-laden team with a nice mixture of some young guys as well. Early on, what has been your role? How do you kind of fit in with this group of veterans and rookies?
I'm one of those guys that's, I'm somewhat of a vet. I played last year. Also, I can be just young-hearted, I guess you could say that. I play around with the guys a lot, but at the same time, I can deliver the veteran advice and how to play within this system. Season is tough. I mean, like, they have no idea how much you have to go through throughout the whole season. So it's fun.
Now, the twinkle in your eye, the smile on your face, and some things that I've read online as well. I think you like to have a little bit of fun with the guys. You mentioned that, but you know, is there a couple of pranks that you like to play on these guys? Like, how do you keep it light?
I can't tell you my secrets, man. But I do keep you guys. I mean, a lot of the guys they wait for me to come into a room. There's no telling what I'm going to say. So we have a lot of fun. I mean, like, the whole team is a bunch of funny people. And so many different type of what's the word for it? Let's just say, just everybody's different from every different area. So like, you know, when they're on the vibe, you know, so we're not always being, they say, grumpy New Yorkers. We're not like that. I'm the suicide of New York.
Mentioning being from New York, of course, you attended Farmingdale State in Nassau County there in New York. What was that New York experience like? New York known for having some great street ballers, but what are your recollections of playing ball, not only at Farmingdale, but just around New York?
That's, New York is full of basketball for a reason. Some of the best basketball players are in New York currently. You know, just playing some of the tournaments, I've won every tournament, every big New York City tournament there is, for a reason. Like, I mean, I'm well known nowadays, so I definitely take my hat off to everybody that plays. You know, just playing there, it just toughens you up and makes you a better ball player. I mean, like, we're rough. we're rough. I mean, between the crowd and the players we're playing against, and some of the coaches that you know, you just have to. You don't have to tough skin. You won't make it sometimes.
Now, from the tough side to a lighter side, playing the pro game now, but a former Harlem Globetrotter. How did that all come about? I mean, I remember watching the Globetrotters as a kid. One of my favorite things ever on the wide world of sports, watching the Globetrotters on TV. But how did that come about? How did you become part of that amazing team?
Oh man, it was it's like a luck of it, just being at the right place at the right time. One of my mentors back at home, he had asked me to come to work. I had no idea what I was going to work out. And during the workouts, like when I say the alley-oop passes that they were throwing was so hard to catch. I mean, like we really had to like roll our bodies and jump as high as we could to get to it. And by the end of that, I had no idea what we were doing. And this giant, he's like 6'11", old guy, flat top. It's like he comes up and takes the ball, and the ball was like a little ping pong ball in his hand. He starts spinning it around his shoulders. And I'm like, wow, man, where you learn this from? It's like, you have no idea. He called me at the time, it was so wrong. He said, you have no idea why you're here. I have no idea. He said, this is the trial of the Blowjackets. And at first I'm like, yeah, right, I don't Blowjackets. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, Scooby-Doo? Like, he's like, yeah. And then like, I think it was like an hour later, I got to call that team. And that was the great experience. Like, I would love to come out with guys.
Now, I've always wanted to know, when you see the Globetrotters doing Sweet Georgia Brown, working that circle, all those kind of really cool little plays, how much does that take to work on away from it? Before you get in front of the fans where it looks so cool and so pristine, how much time goes into working on that Sweet Georgia Brown?
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. I mean, we have some great teachers, some of the guys that have been there, flight time, like Big Easy and the guys. They teach you how to do certain tricks, like, because you don't have to take rules early, and you got to put on the show. It's a great show. And it took me a long time. I was one of the few basketball players that couldn't spin the ball for a long time. And then
Can't even worry about it.
and then I learned from my guy Slick. He taught me how to spin the ball. So I was one of the, I mean, to this day, you might catch me still practicing doing some things. But it's a great experience,
Final thing for you, Anthony. For fans that may be not that familiar with you, if you could describe your style, the type of player you are, how would you describe yourself?
I'm the enforcer. I feel like I'm the enforcer of the team. I bring the toughness. My style is, I'm a little bit, I'm the guy with the funny hair and the way it sounds. I wear that funny. If you know me, you know I have no funny socks. Look out to your socks.
Speaking of funny socks, final thing for you. I always say final thing when I find something else to ask you.
Just about set here for the third quarter to get the second half underway. Scott Squires and David Tingley bringing you this NBL Canada broadcast live from the Moncton Coliseum. It's the Moncton Magic, the home side, taking on the Cape Breton Highlanders. Moncton at 2-2 on the season. The Cape Breton Highlanders looking for their first victory against 3 losses. And David, if you're the Cape Breton Highlanders, if you could repeat what you did in the first half, you just might chalk up your first victory of the year.
Yeah, and the question's going to be what the Magic do to change things up with this veteran squad, talented squad, not letting the Highlanders dictate things, but do some dictation of their own.
So the Highlanders have possession to start here, and Ahmed decides to put that jump shot up there, and it comes down into the hands of the leading scorer for both teams, Terry Thomas, who had 20 in the first 2 quarters.
That type of shot's going to play into the hands of the Magic. That's not what the Highlanders' recipe was in the first half. It was ball movement and getting turning good shots into great ones.
So an interesting lineup out here now as Al Stewart puts that jump shot up. Al Stewart out there with Terry Thomas, Anthony Anderson, Mitchell, as well as Jeremy Williams. And Mitchell and Williams both come out on defense as Johnson goes down to the deck. Here comes Al Stewart now with pace back the other way. Now he decides to slow it up and go into the half court. Thomas steps back, bounce pass inside to Mitchell. Gets it to Anderson, bounce pass through the legs of Ahmed, and Mitchell tried to take it strong to the hoop. Hakeem Johnson came in on the defensive end of things, and Duke Mondi was there as well for the Highlanders.
And a really smart play by Double A. A lesser player would have tried to force one there because he's had a slow start to his evening, but Anthony knew that he was patient enough. Timmy would roll hard and do his, again, a callback to last year for you fans up there, do his pick and roll duty, did Tim Mitchell on that. And please, fans, anyone listening that has my Twitter handle, which is @HoopsTingley, and yours is Josco, JOHSCO, please make fun of my Kim Mitchell 1980s Canada garage rock references, please.
Well, rock and roll duty, of course, and Patio Lanterns was my favorite Kim Mitchell song, just so you know.
Everybody's got a favorite Kim Mitchell song who's Canadian and grew up back then.
Those Patio Lanterns were always lighting up my life, David. Charles Mann, who's been lighting it up for the Highlanders, gets it over there for Ari Stewart. As you mentioned, quiet in the first half. See if he can get something going here, but he gives it to Johnson. Little behind the back to Ari Stewart, and Stewart, from about 6 feet on the baseline, gets a couple of points.
Putting a little sugar on that pass was Hakeem Johnson.
Terry Thomas now puts that jumper right up with Ahmed in his face. Man lost the handle. Here's Al Stewart. Breakaway all the way, and Stewart off glass for the deuce.
And Al Stewart making stuff happen. Again, it's the physical nature of the defense that if you can play it intelligently, that's gonna turn defense into offense. And Al played it very smartly there.
So Williams with the foul, his second.
It looks like it was actually Jeremy Williams that earned himself the steal as we watch the replay on the big screen above us.
So Hakeem Johnson will settle in. Johnson from Passaic, New Jersey, went to the University of Pikeville in Pikeville, Kentucky.
And the Pikeville, that is the Fighting Pikes?
I'm not even going to guess. If there's any alumni of the University of Pikeville, let us know. And that one rattles around and then tipped back in, so good job underneath by the Highlanders staying on that miss. 64-53, 11-point lead. Magic trying to chip away, but just can't seem to get any closer than 7 or 8. Jeremy Williams will take it off the glass. Great feed from Al Stewart.
And you got to move without the ball. You can't stand and watch while your guards penetrate. Jeremy Williams made himself available in case Al got into trouble.
Mondi through a crowd and coming over. Tim Mitchell denied.
And Tim's still among the leaders in both block shots and rebounds, despite missing huge chunks of games with foul trouble.
Ari Stewart, Hakeem Johnson puts it on the floor against Williams. Shot clock expires, and that one was up into the stratosphere as it bounced off the top of the backboard and hit the shot clock and down.
Almost 50 seconds of perfect defense from the Magic, and they'll need more possessions like that to squeeze this lead down from 9.
Well, you and I talked off camera at the half about expecting the Moncton Magic to step up the defensive intensity, and Al Stewart, who tried to drive the lane there, would certainly be one of the guys that can turn up the heat defensively on the Highlanders.
And Ali Ahmed denied him, but at this end of the floor, that foul is more on Duke Mondi than Al Stewart. Mondi's got to be a little more patient, let Al get set, or else he's going to get his teammate caught in the blocking foul that we did there.
So Tydron Beatty back into the game now. Beatty seeing his first action for the Highlanders. They just signed him a couple of days ago, and he's made a difference. Jeremy Williams looking to make a difference, and he hits from well outside. Jeremy Williams smooth for 3.
We talked in the first half, there wasn't much falling for anybody outside of Terry Thomas or Corey Allman. Nice to see a shot go through the hoop for somebody not named Terry or Corey.
Here is Beatty now. Bounce pass to Ahmed, and a nice one. Ahmed couldn't finish under the big defense from Mitchell, and now it's Tim Thomas. Thomas puts on the brakes, gets it over to Anderson just to our left. Anderson being watched by man. Gets it inside to Mitchell, swoops it inside, roll around the rim, and Anthony Anderson, that's a little better for the Moncton Magic.
And Tim Thomas is feeling good about himself, and he's really been the story here the last few possessions on both ends of the floor for the Magic, creating possessions with his defense, and a sweet little underhand feed to Anthony Anderson on the cut.
And moments ago I mentioned that it seemed that the Magic were having a hard time cutting that lead below 10, 7, 8, 9 points. Well, now you look up and it's a 4-point lead, 64-60.
Well, at the half, you talked a little bit about it. It was a 9-point spread, and we alluded to it a little before the half. Felt like Cape Breton was playing better and Moncton was playing worse than a 9-point spread. You felt like it could have been bigger, and it wouldn't take very much maybe to turn the tide here a little bit in the third quarter, and maybe the Magic have found something here.
Nice to see some good interaction with the fans here.
With our host, Mo, up in the crowd doing some good work.
So
he's got fans involved. What's he got there for him?
It's a gift certificate, and I think he's wearing the, like, that's a Moncton minor basketball shirt.
It is.
Want to give a shout out as well to a couple of great folks that were here before the game. Norval and Pam. They were up just outside the ticket office, the box office, selling 50-50 tickets, and the proceeds from the 50-50 go to support minor basketball in the city of Moncton. So a great work by them.
And the Norval you're referring to is a person well known to local Moncton listeners on this broadcast, Norval McConnell. He's been around the game forever and ever. He's the chairperson of the National Small College Basketball Championships taking place in Mount A on the girls' side this year. He's the chairman of that tournament, honored with that figure. So, and he used to commentate my games when I played at the Hoop Classic here in town, and he was a broadcaster with my old friend Brian Forbes. Shout out to the Forbes fan for listening. They used to do the broadcast for the local cable station here, the high school games in the Hoop Classic.
Well, I took a picture of Norval and Pam and tweeted that earlier, and they were more than excited, and they want to encourage everybody to get those 50-50 tickets. Again, proceeds go to support Moncton minor basketball. 8:12 to go in the third quarter, and Mondi with the acrobatic kind of leaner, and I think he drew the foul on Al Stewart.
He did. Fooled Al there a little bit, stopped on a dime, and Al felt he was going to keep going, was going to do that little swipe around the back, but Mondi crossed him up.
So Duke Mondi.
And you look at Duke's statistics through these first few games, and just stellar stuff for the new performer to Cape Breton. Almost 16 points a game, top 10 in the league in assists at over 5, and first in steals at 3 per game, all while making almost 60% from the three-point line on 6 attempts a game. So just doing things all over the court, as well as a stellar on-the-ball defender, as he's shown against Al Stewart so far.
Mondi, a native of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he's played extremely well for the Highlanders here this evening. Al Stewart to Williams now as the Magic work it around the perimeter. Terry Thomas from downtown again. Terry Thomas, his three-point percentage going through the roof here tonight.
He heard me talking about that not being his favorite part of his game, and but something that he's worked on.
Well, he's added it to the repertoire tonight, no doubt about it. Duke Mondi now to Ali Ahmed. The Egyptian backs in Mitchell and goes hard and draws the foul as Ahmed, again as he's done most of this game, taking it strong to the rack. The fans not at all in agreement with the call from the officials as they give the officials a big, loud boo.
And the explanation from the referee. You gotta like this though on the part of a referee. Given a chance for the coach to say his piece, not running across the floor and hiding, coming across the floor, let him say his piece, give your explanation, and learn to live to fight another day.
So Ahmed hits the first, and the fans in attendance here, and a nice crowd on hand on this Thursday evening in Moncton, giving the Moncton welcome or cheer to Ahmed as he shoots the second. Fans a little happier about that second one not going in, so the fans into it here in the third quarter.
I heard a couple of ball don't lie from the crowd as that one spilled out.
Inside to Mitchell, backs Ahmed in. That battle has been ongoing throughout a better part of the evening. 32 in gray up against 32 in blue. Mitchell for the Magic and Ahmed for the Highlanders, and it's been a fun matchup to watch.
Yeah, and I think we talked a couple things we mentioned at the break and before the quarter started was, let's see the Magic just turn up the intensity a little bit. You talked about that. Thought to bring a little more intensity, a little more feeling into this building, and they've certainly done that as Tim Mitchell spills out on the first one, but a good-looking shot anyway. And also bring a little bit of the fun, bring some dynamism back to your play on the floor. The Cape Breton was the ones with the creativity and with the dynamic play in the first half. And Magic have lifted that up a little bit here in the third quarter so far.
So Mitchell hits 1 of 2. He's now 7 of 10 from the line.
And Anthony Anderson setting the tone out top, turning that ball handler over and over again.
That one off the leg of Johnson, but inadvertent now, and it's been the hands of Mann. 6 seconds on the shot clock. He's got to do something quick. Mann tries to take it in against Mitchell, goes off the hands right to Ahmed. Fortunate bounce there. Mitchell wanted some kind of call, doesn't get one, and Ahmed cleans it up and puts it home.
Timmy's just got to shake that off. That was very good defensive possession, just got lucky.
Anthony Anderson for 3. If he can heat up from outside, that'll change the tone of this one. 69-66, 3-point lead for the Highlanders.
I think everybody in the building took a breath on that one. Anthony got one to go.
One possession game now. It's been a while since we've been tied. A 3-ball would do it. Let's see what the Magic have in store. Anderson being watched closely by Mondi. Coming out to help there was Ahmed.
Well defended up top by Mondi again.
5 seconds on the shot. Thomas for 3. Bounces down. Good job there. Fresh 24.
Al with the sweet feet at half court to avoid the turnover.
And the fans even gave the moan, but play carries on. Here's Williams now. Kicks it out to Thomas. Wide open for the tray. Front of the iron. No good. And a battle underneath again as Mitchell was right there. And he was going up against Beatty as well as Ahmed.
And Timmy has really taken it upon himself to be a beast in each and every way he possibly can so far in this third quarter. And the fans are giving him a hand as he comes off the floor. And he gave a shout out to Anthony Cox. Let's go, like follow my lead, bring that energy the same way I have so far this quarter.
Well, we saw an instance the other night in a sequence out of a timeout actually, where Moncton needed a boost and they got a big one-handed flush from Anthony Cox that turned the tide and got the momentum swinging back toward the Magic. So Cox into the game now. The former Harlem Globetrotter had a 5-year stint with those tricksters of basketball.
He's built for that type of game.
So here we go, 5:51 third quarter. Magic trail by 3 and from way outside front of the rim, and Mann gets it into the hands of Mondi. Mondi tried to bounce it inside, but again, good defense, and that's what the Magic are going to need. Quick transition, Thomas, and there's with the finish.
It's something they've got in their pocket at all times, that quick defense to offense turnaround.
And now, Beatty was bombs away from outside, and all of a sudden, we are tied 69-69. So the Magic started this second half down by 9. They've clawed their way back to a tie ball game with 5:17 to go.
And Anthony Anderson showing you what pro he is. He's stuck on 5 points, but the stuff that sticks out to me so far in this quarter is the work that he's done defensively, and at that end, just that last defensive possession, a huge box out on a much bigger man, Hakeem Johnson.
And now, the change in momentum almost palpable here at the floor level as the Magic now chatting it up with each other, slapping the 5s, getting the chest bumps going, and it's the Cape Breton Highlanders who are sagging a little bit and having these little discussions after the play. So again, a 69-69 game, but you can start to feel that momentum swinging a little bit to the home side here.
Absolutely, and the team too, I think we talked a little bit about who's that guy that's going to be the team that grabs, the guy that grabs the rest of the team by the scruff of the neck and goes, follow me. And for the crowd watching, it's that guy that scores the hoops. For the team, if you're a professional basketball player, you're looking at that guy that's doing the little things, and Anthony Anderson is doing the little things, even though that shot isn't falling yet.
So they made a correction on the score clock. They had it at 69-69 for a while. They made an adjustment when Al Stewart went to the line to make it 69-68, but Stewart hits both. So a 1-point lead, 70-69 for the Magic as we come up to 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Beatty takes it baseline, tried to scoop it from underneath, and Cox says, give me that ball, and gets it to Thomas, to Williams. Williams baseline himself, goes underneath against the crowd. Asiandi was there, as well as Johnson, and Williams draws the foul, and now the Magic really starting to feel it.
And the big difference at the defensive end is that intensity you talked about. And you get your feet moving, you get that intensity up, you're going to close out on the ball. It's super hard the way Jeremy Williams just did. Now in the first half, that would have been a wide open three for Tydron Beatty, but another quality closeout in the corner by Corey Allman. He had to go baseline and throw up a tough shot over Anthony Cox.
Williams misses the first.
In and out. Even the ones that are missing right now are halfway down for the Magic.
Jeremy Williams, 12 points, looking to make it 13. A little bit short with that second attempt, so he'll be stuck on 12 as the Highlanders bring it back up the floor. They now trail for the first time in a while by a point. Mann gives it off to Johnson. And there you see a little bit of a step up in the defensive intensity by the Magic. Anderson puts a shoulder there into Beatty. Beatty works through it, takes it strong in against Anderson, and the look on Anderson's face when that whistle blew, it looks like when I tell my daughter she's got to go to bed early. What a surprise.
Tell me somebody snapped a picture exactly at that moment.
That was a classic look. The mouth drew open, the jaw dropped, the eyes went wide, but to no avail as Beatty will go to the line for the Highlanders.
Sometimes when you're battling that big guy down in there, you get the feeling like if you're a little guy like Anthony and like me, hey, I should be able to give him a shot or two. I should be able to get away with that. I think that's kind of the feeling Anthony had. He's just being physical down there, and Tydron earned a trip to the line.
So Tydron 4 of 5 from the line, now make that 5 of 6, and that's 12 points for the new addition to the Highlanders. Tydron Beatty with a dozen. Field goal percentage starting to even up now. Magic just below 47%, and the Highlanders just over 51.
And the Highlanders being super physical with Terry Thomas on the dribble drive, and felt like it was a little too physical, but again, adjust your play, how the referees are calling it.
Coach Joe Salerno cheerleading from the sideline, encouraging his troops to keep going with that defensive pressure. Harrison steps up to the free throw line, jumper no good. Williams grabs the board and he'll put it into the hands of Anderson. He'll calmly bring it up the floor. Cox screens out Harrison. Anderson steps over for a three, and double A. No worries from outside the three-point line.
You can just feel Anthony kind of getting his feel for this game now. And Anthony Cox stepping up and doing a job and looking to the bench.
An offensive foul called there on Charles Mann. That's the third foul on Charles. And now Coach Rob Spahn in the ear of the official, but right now it's the defensive intensity that the Magic have shown here in this third quarter that have helped their offensive game.
Not just helped it, I mean it's the whole entire story. That intensity shift from the locker room for the Magic.
Anderson takes it strong against Asiandi, off glass and in. Double A right now, El Fuego.
And we talked about it, he's not doing the job on the scoreboard yet, and now he's doing the job there as well.
Hakeem Johnson steps up and drains the three and gives the old three sign to the side and quiets the crowd just a little bit.
Gives Jeremy Williams a pat in the back as he goes back. These two going at each other. A lot of respect there for between these guys.
Kick out to Williams for three, and Jeremy Williams money from outside. Anything you can do, I can do better. That's what's going on right now on the floor. 77-74, three-point lead. Hakeem Johnson, great battle there. Williams, one-on-one, reaches in.
I think Coach Salerno will take a reach-in foul or two like that. Being physical with the ball handler on the wing, not letting him get into his game the same way he did in the first half. No problem. Dig at that ball. If you get a steal, great. You take a foul or two every now and then, make them side the ball out of the bounds again. Not the biggest problem in the world.
So a quick breather for Al Stewart. He's back into the game for the Magic. Hakeem Johnson will inbound, and now it's Mondi. 13 seconds on the clock. Al Stewart kind of fell down. Mondi kicks it out. Quick ball movement. Johnson drives it in. Tried to float that ball up.
And again, just the closeouts for the Magic, forcing Cape Breton to put the ball on the floor and then having that last rotation. In this case, Al Stewart. Last time it was Corey Allman and Anthony Cox. Everybody, 5 guys working on a string right now. We talked about in the first time, it seemed to be 3 or 4 guys in possession. Right now, it's 5 guys working as a fist for the Magic at the defensive end.
3-point lead for the Magic, 2:31 to go. Allman from downtown, no good.
Again, though, in and out.
Flying in to get the rebound was Beatty. Bit of a Euro step there, charges all the way down the floor. Beatty flying through the air, tried to get the one-arm floater and ends up on the lap of a couple of fans there sitting right along that baseline. A couple of chuckles and giggles down there, and everybody okay.
A little girl in a Santa hat. Got a little closer meeting with Tydron Beatty than she planned, I think, when she walked in the building.
It's like the old Boston Garden when the Celtics would play. Talk about being on top of the action.
I hope Tydron gave her his wish list for Christmas.
Well, right now, I'd say his wish list is a victory for the Highlanders, and they're only down by 3. Osiondi being watched by Cox. Hakeem Johnson there. He's got Denzel Taylor on him. And big step back there. Shot no good, and Thomas forcefully grabs that rebound and will take it up over half court. Al Stewart is being watched there by Mondi. Turns his back to him, now puts it on the floor. Little dish for Thomas, Mondi right on him. Thomas leans to the left, goes to the right hand. Osiondi grabs the rebound and gets it over to Mondi. Under 2 minutes to play, third quarter, and a circus type shot there, no good. And the call underneath, and Beatty doesn't like it. But the Magic and their fans certainly do.
And again, in the first half, it was lack of attention to detail a little bit at the defensive end. This time, the Magic communicating much better, and defensive rotations over there, not to block Mondi's shot, but to make it really difficult. And he threw up a wild one, and Tydron Beatty was just a little too tempted to get way up in the air, and he climbed over the back.
Well, a big quarter so far by the Moncton Magic with 1:45 to go. They came into this third quarter trailing by 9, but they now lead by 3 and have outscored the Cape Breton Highlanders 27-15. So a much better third quarter here for the Moncton Magic, and it all starts with their defense. And Anthony Cox, no good on that first attempt.
Another in and out from the free throw line from the Magic. This lead would be even bigger.
Al Stewart comes over to give him a pat and say, "That's okay, big man." Knock down the second.
And when I mention attention to detail on the defensive end, you get a team with offensive talent in a pro league. I don't care what the team is, no matter how young they are or down in the standings they are. Team like Cape Breton, you give them free and clear chances to run their offense, and they're going to score. You get up in their face and make things difficult for them. That's when you can create havoc, and that's what the Magic are doing.
Harrison bounces it to the corner. Beatty for 3. Comes down into the hands of Cox, and from the line right now, after Cox hit that second, the Moncton Magic shooting just over 65%, 16 of 24 from the free throw line.
And Denzel Taylor got into a wrestling match with Hakeem Johnson there a little bit under the rim.
Third foul on Denzel. Coach Salerno liking the defense from Corey Allman, saying, "Good, Corey."
Well, it's denial all over the floor. The Magic have stepped up a little bit here in the third quarter. No straight line passes.
Well, again, Coach Salerno before the game glowing about his team's defense and where they are 4 games into the season, and I think he certainly has to be more happy with what he's seen defensively from his squad in this third quarter than he saw in the first 24 minutes.
59 first half points, only 15 so far in this quarter with 1:28 left.
Mondi being watched there by Al Stewart. Long-range jump shot comes down. Good rebound by Osiondi as he boxed out underneath. And the foul goes against Cox, I believe.
And Osiondi's got some springs there, and he uses them. He's had some foul trouble this game where he couldn't play the minutes he wanted, but He's got some springs, and he can cause some trouble down there unless you get a body on him.
Second foul on Cox, 7th team foul. Osiondi to the line.
Tydron's got the same barber as he did when he played here in Moncton, I see. No change for him there.
Speaking of barber, check out Coach Joe Salerno's Instagram feed. He went and got a little touch-up today before the game. Game day haircut for Coach Salerno. Giving a shout-out to the local barber. Again, you'll have to check out on Instagram, but apparently he cuts hair out of his apartment, does this guy. I started following him on Instagram. I'm going to see if I can get a little trim myself in the next few weeks.
Now that sounds a little shady, but I'm going to trust your judgment on that.
And Almond. No good on that one. And the Highlanders now will take control and bring it up. Mondi, Al Stewart right in his pocket. Harrison from the side. Rebound comes down to Osiondi, fresh 24. Hakeem Johnson wastes no time, launches away. Osiondi taps it over, nice play there. And Mondi now hits. So a good sequence there from the Highlanders, and Osiondi did a great job underneath, tapping that rebound over into the corner, and Mondi money.
Well, so often you see that, you give up an offensive board and the ball bounces to a guy standing still at the three-point line. Not only did they get one extra shot there, they got two.
8 seconds on the shot clock. Magic now down by 1. Thomas steps back and gets that shot to go. Nice look there from lucky 13, Terry Thomas, and the Magic back into the lead. Shot clock is off, 12 to go in that quarter. So Highlanders will play for the final shot here, looking to take the lead back to start quarter number 4. Johnson, stutter step, floats it in, and that will end the quarter on a successful note for the Highlanders, and a bit of jawing underneath between Hakeem Johnson and Denzel Taylor. Both sides get separated, and the quarter ends.
Few smiles there. Seemed like it was some entertaining chatter between Denzel Taylor and Hakeem Johnson. Not so entertaining stretch to end this quarter for the Magic. Largely successful, though, given the deficit that they started at.
Yeah, the Magic started the third quarter down by 9. They outscore the Highlanders 30-22 in that third quarter. But if you're the Highlanders, the positive you take out of it is you got to win a quarter at a time. And even though they didn't win that quarter, right now they're winning the game. They'll start the fourth quarter, albeit by a slimmest of margins, a 1-point lead. But again, if you're the Highlanders, you're like, okay, the Magic came out. They landed their best couple of punches. We took them. Hey, we got the fourth quarter. We still lead by 1.
Yeah, Magic took a 3-point lead there. They went on a little four-point scoring run there to end the third quarter and just got the lead back. I mean, that's a good. You got to like just that response from Coach Spahn, just coming back and snatching the lead. Now, a third quarter like that with the crowd building the way it was and the Magic feeling great about themselves, that could have been easily with a young team just blown past and blown the lead out big, but. Yeah, they got to feel good about where they are. I think you do the old cliche. If you'd have told me before the start of the game, this is where I'd be after 3 quarters, Coach Spahn would have taken it.
Well, there are 2 very recent additions to the Cape Breton Highlanders, and they are 2 of the top 3 scorers through 3 quarters for Cape Breton. Hakeem Johnson with 20 on 8 of 16 shooting, Duke Mondi with 19, and Tydron Beatty with 12. And for your Moncton Magic, Terry Thomas continues to lead the way for all scorers with 25. He's 10 of 17 from the floor, including 6 boards and 4 of 7 from outside the arc. Jeremy Williams with 15 and Corey Almond with 12. So we start this fourth quarter, the Cape Breton Highlanders a 1-point lead, and buckle up, folks. It should be a fun one going down the stretch here in quarter number 4. But certainly for Coach Joe Salerno and the Magic, they've got to feel much better. Yes, offensively they outscored the Highlanders, but I think defensively they would be much happier with that effort.
Well, they're going to take confidence from that. I think, yeah, they're coming into the fourth quarter with a deficit, but they got to feel extremely confident about where they left off. Double A's on the bench right now, getting himself some rest, but I feel, oh no, he's back. He's subbed back in, excuse me, to start this fourth quarter with Jeremy Williams, Tim Mitchell, Corey Allman, and Al Stewart.
And interesting, just as we started the quarter, just before the ball got put in play, Coach Joe Salerno coming over to the timekeepers, making sure that he still has his 3 timeouts.
Absolutely.
Stewart, nice look inside to Williams. Great dish to Mitchell, and Mitchell with the finish.
Tim grabbing at his knee and gesturing to the bench that he might need some help there.
And a grimace on the face of big number 32, Tim Mitchell. We'll keep an eye on that. Mondi Takes it strong into the paint, little spin move there, tried to get it to Asiandi, who does a great job of fighting with that ball and takes it to the rim. So a nice sequence there by 22 in blue, Shane Asiandi.
What you love about Tim is that he's not afraid to, banged up, grimacing or not, he's going to get that nose in there and play hard-nosed defense. He just didn't have that second effort in him.
Anderson, dish to Williams. Williams takes it strong into the paint. Little runner goes off the front of the rim and a foul call underneath. And that's going to be on Mitchell. I think that might be his fourth.
No matter what it is, I think he's going to take a break to have that knee looked at a little bit. And Kevin Farrell-Thomas checking in for the Magic.
So he will, I'm sure, get that knee looked at. 83-82. The visitors lead this one. Early stages, fourth quarter. Scott Squires along with David Tingley and our NBL Canada crew. Glad to have you with us. Hakeem Johnson through a crowd. Somehow found a way to get it to Mondi, and Mondi grabbed that ball. Looked like he took some extra steps. And again, the fans not liking the call, nor does Coach Joe Salerno.
Well, it looked like Kevin Farrell-Thomas was going out of his way not to foul Duke Mondi once he got beat, but sometimes you're a crafty scorer like that, you throw your body back into the defender and you get the call, and back comes Tim Mitchell.
Well, he's got the 4 fouls and the knee must be okay because, as you said, a momentary rest and he's right back in there. Meanwhile, Mondi to the line to try and increase this Highlander lead, and smooth from the free throw line, so a 4-point advantage for the Highlanders. These lads from Cape Breton Island won't go away.
A little danger zone here from the Magic, letting these guys get their confidence back, and there's Anthony.
Right in his face was Ari Stewart, hindered that shot just enough. Mondi being watched by Al Stewart. This is Asiandi. Shane Asiandi, pass over to the far side for Harrison. Back to Asiandi, puts up the 14-footer. Comes down into the hands of Corey Allman. And here comes the number 3 man, jersey-wise, for the Magic, Allman, who dishes off. Nice charge into the paint, and Anderson flexes the muscle, and AA will go to the line for the and one.
And no matter how many times you watch it, the defenders always fall for that lull you to sleep move that he does and gets his body into you, hangs in the air a little bit, throws it up off the glass or sneaks it over the rim. And it's unbelievable the way that Anthony's, I don't know how many buckets he's scored in his career on exactly that move.
And that is the 5th foul now for Ari Stewart that will send Anderson to the line, looking to complete the 3-point play here and cut it to a 1-point lead.
And Ari's been almost silent on the offensive end. Hasn't hindered the offensive performance of his team. He's been a definite contributor on the defensive end, though.
So Anderson does indeed hit from the line. 86-85. Here comes Mann. Charles Mann puts the shoulder down into Mitchell, but Mitchell stood his ground, and here come the Magic the other way. Stewart now will slow it down. Long pass to Mitchell. Does a good job to climb the ladder, catch it, and all in one motion puts it off the glass. Nice work, Tim Mitchell.
You love having such an unselfish point guard. Al always looking for somebody else, so he always has his head up.
Asiandi steps back, kisses it off the glass, and Shane Asiandi having a nice game for himself here, in particular the first few minutes of this 4th quarter.
Looked really uncomfortable with the ball. Not sure if he called the bank on that or not, but we'll give him credit.
Jeremy Williams now from downtown, off the back of the iron, back of the backboard. Play continues on. Allman sets, fires, and he's good. Corey Allman.
Right off the top of the rim. Similarly, the first half, the Magic felt they were robbed on a call like that.
Play carries on now. Asiandi has it baseline, steps back with Mitchell right in his face, and Mitchell just put the hand up against the smaller player, Asiandi. Anthony Anderson, now Corey Allman. Nod your head, Corey. Nod your head. He is liking it.
When a shooter with that much range gets feeling that good, all you can do is nod your head and strut. And Corey strutted his way off the floor to the welcoming arms of his teammates, and they're dapping him up on the bench too.
Corey Allman, if there's anybody who can heat up from outside in a hurry, it's number 3 for the Moncton Magic. He now is the second leading scorer on this Magic team in this game. He's got 18, including 6 of 9 from 3.
Well, he's that John Paxson, Steve Kerr type gunner that every good team which wants to space the floor like the Magic do got to have. And he's 6 for 9 from 3 and 1 rebound, and that's the end of his stats. And that's not a shot on Corey. He does this about as well as anybody in the league.
Yeah, 6 of 9 from the floor, 6 of 9 from 3. So, and I'm glad that they've got me partnered up with somebody that makes old school references the same as I do. Because a lot of times when I reference old school NBA guys, I've got to tell some of the younger viewers to get on Google and check out that particular player.
Well, who doesn't shoot a three-pointer in the NBA right now?
You know what?
You gotta go old school for a Corey Allman reference.
It's a very different game. It's certainly more of a wide open, free-flowing, offensive outside the arc.
I could go Frank Kaminsky, but you know.
Well, it did my heart well today, speaking of old school references, when the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant, was quoted as saying that people forget just how good Larry Bird was.
I don't.
And it's, you know, sometimes it's point of reference, and younger players who never got to see him play and only see him in highlights forget how good some of the older players are, as we see Corey Allman clapping the hands right in the face of Charles Mann, who had that ball go out of bounds. But Larry Bird, certainly in my books anyway, and well, NBA books as well, one of the greatest ever.
Shout out to Craig Young, my old buddy. If you're listening on Craig, a St. John Riptide fan, but he hopefully is listening in, my old Mount A teammate, the biggest Larry Bird fan ever.
Anthony Anderson kicks it to the corner. Al Stewart to Corey Allman, well outside. That would have been something had it gone. And great job getting that rebound. Fresh shot clock now for the Magic. The fans love it. Anthony Anderson right in front of our broadcast position now, slows it down in the half court. Mitchell comes out with the pick. Anderson, wide open jumper. Couldn't get it to go. And look at Al Stewart again.
He's in there 1-on-4.
Most diminutive player on the court, but playing with 6'10" worth of heart right now is number 10 for the Magic.
The stat stuffer, Al, 2 times.
Williams zips it inside. Nice look underneath, and Mitchell is feeling it. Tim Mitchell, the easy bucket. That great feed, though, as Jeremy Williams fed it on a zip line inside to Mitchell.
Yeah, such an unselfish play by Jeremy.
And Hakeem Johnson stares that 3 ball through the bottom of the bucket. And again, going to have the nickname Hakeem Johnson, the crowd silencer, because that's a couple of times he's quieted this Coliseum crowd from outside.
And just when you think this might be something that the Magic are looking to put away.
Nice little alley-oop feed there. Mitchell couldn't get the finish. 95-91, 4-point lead for the Magic. Hakeem Johnson again trying to light it up from outside. Mitchell does a great job of getting good position there and getting the rebound, and he'll put it into the hands of AA Anthony Anderson.
Another just great closeout.
6:40 to go in the game, potentially. 8 points on the shot clock, and away from the ball, Mitchell goes down to the floor.
Good call. Hakeem Johnson was trying to dance around the screen. Kind of caught him around the waist. I thought he was going to dance with him for a second, but he gave him a pull.
And interesting, Hakeem Johnson kind of came over in a somewhat sportsmanlike fashion and maybe give Mitchell a hand. Mitchell walked away, wouldn't have any of it.
Looks like Hakeem's a pretty fun-loving guy. The guys seem to enjoy each other. I don't think it's a mean-spirited thing. Timmy's probably giving him the gears a little bit.
And you know, we've talked about the parity around this league, but certainly these Atlantic Canadian teams, I sense some very good rivalries taking place with these Atlantic Canadian teams coming up this season.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys know each other really well.
And Mitchell, again, going in there underneath the defense from Ferguson. And it is going to be Seamus who takes the foul.
That's what I like to see. That's what I loved most about that Jeremy Williams feed to Tim Mitchell. Just a couple possessions ago, he had a wide open 3, but you got your big man working this hard, give him that ball.
That's 4 fouls now on Seamus Ferguson. 6:20 to go. Magic in half court. Thomas steps around Beatty, lost the handle on the ball. Charles Mann doesn't like the call. The Highlander bench doesn't like the call, but Coach Salerno and the Magic and their fans certainly do.
Duke Mondi might be giving Al Stewart a run for the fastest hands in the league. Now Al will listen to this broadcast and give me a hard time about that statement, so prove me wrong, Al, 2 times.
14 seconds on the shot clock. Outlet there for Williams. And away from the play, it was Thomas going up against Beatty, and the referee blew the whistle.
This is what you get with Tydron a little bit. You take a little bit of bad with the good with his super intense physical play. He's going to get a little, can get a little frustrated and take it out a little bit on that end of the floor.
So that's Tydron's 4th foul. Allman wide open, 3, rolls around the rim, and there is Beatty. And Allman's not happy with himself after that miss. He's got to get back on defense now, and Ferguson just obliterated him out of the play. Meanwhile, Hakeem Johnson takes it strong, gets his own rebound right along the baseline. Williams was there.
Just a beautiful crossover move from Hakeem Johnson, but again, met at the rim by four Magic players, and was forced to take a much more difficult shot than he intended.
It's a 4-point lead for the home side. Moncton Magic looking to make it 3 wins in a row here at home. Thomas gives it off to Cox. Cox goes in against Ferguson. Nice kick out to Allman. Downtown. Nope. Thomas rebound, puts it up, and Beatty is there to grab up that loose ball and give it to Charles Mann. Mann takes it all the way down. Anthony Anderson was there on defense as well as Cox, and it looks like it's Double A who's going to take the foul.
Double A read that Euro step coming from Charles Mann, but a lot of arm, I think, on that step-through move.
And just interesting there a moment ago, a little mini huddle with the Cape Breton Highlanders, and it was the new guy, Tydron Beatty, who was speaking all the words in that little mini huddle.
Tydron doesn't lack for words. That is one thing he doesn't lack for.
So an interesting dynamic there, seeing the veteran trying to put his stamp on this team. So Mann hits the first. That'll close the gap on this lead just a little bit now. 95-92. Second shot here for Mann. Foul shots, you know, are going to be important down the stretch here. And he hits the second. So just that one possession game now, a 2-point lead for the Magic, 5.5 to go. Anderson looking over, getting some active coaching from Salerno on the sideline. And Charles Mann gets called for the foul, and he looks down towards his bench and doesn't like the call.
Yeah, and it doesn't match up really necessarily with the physical nature of the game so far. That was a little bit of a touch foul, but again, the rule's pretty clear. You can't manhandle the ball handler.
So the former Saskatchewan Husky, Seamus Ferguson, now with his 5th foul. Terry Thomas puts the ball on the floor, dribbles it strong, goes to the left hand. Terry Thomas, nice work there.
Split the D. That is a quick crossover move that he has going right to left.
Now the chant of defense goes up with the Moncton Coliseum crowd as Mann tries to take it strong.
And Tydron Beatty's lobbying the refs in the corner. If we get called for that reach in, how about calling it both ways? Looked like it was a all ball there on the ball penetration from Corey Allman.
16 seconds on the shot clock. Mondi will bring it back toward half court. Steps now towards the top of the key, being watched by Williams. Puts up that 3 ball off the side of the rim, and Thomas had it bounce right into his arms.
And Mondi's tapping his chest here. He had a matchup, a quickness advantage over Jeremy Williams, and chose to shoot a deep 3 instead.
Anderson tries to slash his way in, and again, Charles Mann with the grin on his face just walks away from the call. And that's going to be the foul on Mann. That's his 4th. So that'll send Anthony Anderson to the line.
Charles Mann choosing to do his talking to the bench and to himself rather than the ref, but he's going to come back and share some thoughts. And again, we'll see if the undefeated streak is broken of referees reversing their calls once lobbied by the players.
It may be an all-time highlight for all time should a referee ever go, you know what, you're right.
Yeah.
Let me change that. Quick outlet there to Beatty. And good defense. Terry Thomas forces the turnover, and the fans love it. Loving the defense as much as the offense are these Coliseum fans, a knowledgeable basketball crowd. Anthony Anderson, long-range jumper, and the putback, I believe, has been waved off.
It was, but Anthony Cox in there with 3 Cape Breton bodies, winking at the bench. I got this.
That's the 5th now on Tydron Beatty.
And Anthony Anderson's a little frustrated with his shooting night. But I think if this game goes up in the victory column for the Moncton Magic, I think a part of it you look at is the tone Anthony set at the start of the 3rd quarter.
A 5-point lead, Cox looking to make it 6, but in this world of analytics and number crunching, sometimes numbers really freak me out. Right now, with 4:31 to go in this game, a 99-93 lead. From the 4, field goal percentage. The Highlanders, 34 of 73 for 46.6%. The Moncton Magic, 34 of 73 for 46.6%. So the difference right now, not coming from the floor in terms of field goal percentage. Identical number of shots, identical number of makes and misses.
And that's, yeah, they're playing at a very similar pace. So you're going to get that every now and then. But yeah, that's, I've never seen that.
Well, it's certainly an interesting anomaly, and sometimes you can get so twisted up in numbers and statistics and analytics, but when I looked at that, I kind of had to adjust my glasses and rub my eyes and go, yep, that is identical.
And that's relevant because that is a stat that teams want to win. You want to get up more shots than the opposition if you want to play at a fast pace, and these teams both do.
And Mann gets that shot up as he was falling away. Nice look there as he took it off the window. Back to a 4-point lead. Anderson gets it to Thomas. Thomas tried to get Mann to commit defensively. Bounces it into Williams now. Osiandi on him. Williams takes it strong into the paint, spins away. Good defense there by Osiandi as he stayed with Williams the whole way. Williams trying to be aggressive on defense. Double team now, but it's into Hakeem Johnson. Down to the corner. Now they'll work at baseline. Nice little spin move there by Ari Stewart. And that bucket now makes it once again a 1-possession game. Magic leading by 2.
I've not said Ari Stewart's name very much, but he's a talented player for this squad, and he'll be key down the stretch for them.
Thomas wide open for 3 after the kick out from Anderson in front of the rim. And then Williams on the defense. I think he's going to get called for the push.
Yeah, and the referee had no choice but to call that. You don't want to call it, but Jeremy Williams knocked him off balance, and it would have been a turnover, so they had to blow the whistle.
That's 5 now on Williams, as several players now getting up into that danger area with their 5th foul. But with 3:21 to go, coaches are going to go to more of the game situation rather than dealing with guys because they've got foul situation.
Well, he might try to get Jeremy out for 1 possession here to get back under the 2 maybe.
Nice feed, Mann underneath the Stewart.
And before you know it, it's a tie score.
6-5 combination works. Mann to Ari Stewart, and again, 99, Terry Thomas trying to go in strong, and defensively Hakeem Johnson was there to swat it away. Denzel Taylor will check back into the game now. Jeremy Williams will take a seat on the Moncton bench. And with 2:59 to go in a tie ball game, Coach Joe Salerno wants to talk it over with the Magic.
And you've just kind of had this feeling, the building I think has had a feeling, well, okay, now we're in control. I know it's still close, but these guys are in control. They're going to finish it out. And now you're in a situation here, under 3 minutes left, and it's a tie game. And in this situation, yeah, you like to think that the experience and the talent of the Magic will shine through, but you've let a young squad here, underdog, hang around and keep their confidence, and we'll see how this shakes loose with under 3 minutes left.
Well, in this 4th quarter, another tight one. Moncton outscoring the Highlanders 19-18 with 2:59 to go, but you add it all up and it's 99-99. So Coach Joe Salerno, while he's seen his Moncton Magic team certainly pick up the defensive intensity, Coach Rob Spahn and the Cape Breton Highlanders right where they want to be, tie game with under 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, and you got to figure here, despite his struggles shooting the ball tonight, this is going to be a situation where Anthony's got the ball, Anthony Anderson. Let's run something for him, and let him make the decisions. If he decides to find the hot hand tonight, which is Terry Thomas, then great. But let's put the old wise one behind the controls and let him make the decisions here.
So 2:59 left on the clock. The ball will be inbounded. 16 seconds left on the shot clock for the Magic. So anybody's ball game here. Who is going to be the person to step up and to take control down the stretch. And now the intensity picking up. We've got Charles Mann in the middle of it, talking. Terry Thomas is there shaking his head.
Terry Thomas got a little bit lucky. He gave Mann a shot, and I know Mann was crowding his court mate Anthony Anderson, but that was a risky play.
Charles Mann is going to know these officials real well. He's been having some chats with them all night. Anderson, 15 on the shot, puts it up right away, and as he goes to
the just can't be stopped.
Charles Mann now puts it on the floor, puts a shoulder, and Anderson took the shoulder. Mann went down. Mitchell fell over top of him, arms and legs flying everywhere as Charles Mann took it in strong.
Charles Mann's going to be frustrated by that, as well as Coach Spahn, but it's absolutely the right call. Before he went tumbling over the defender, he fended off Anthony Anderson with that offhand.
Rob Spahn up off the bench, shaking his head in disbelief. He senses how close his team is to getting their first victory on the air. It's been a good ball game on the road for this Highlander team, but this gutsy effort by the Magic in the second half had them into a lead, and Williams takes it underneath the basket, gets the call, and I believe that might be 5, or that might be 6. That might be it for Stewart. It is indeed 6 fouls on Ari Stewart, and he can do nothing but give a hug to his teammate Tydron Beatty. So Ari Stewart out of the game with 6 fouls, and that's going to send the Magic to the line with 2:26 to go.
And that was, we didn't talk about that feed from Terry Thomas on the back door. We were talking about the calls, but that was a pretty look from Terry Thomas, and Jeremy Williams didn't even know that his cut was going to get him the ball, but Terry saw it before Jeremy did and led him to the hoop.
Jeremy Williams now 2 of 5 from the line. That's 16 points on the night for number 21, the young man from Memphis. Looking for some sweet music on this second one. Almost got typed in, and they're trying to say that Asiani was out for the cylinder, but ball comes down to Mann and play carries on. So
FIBA rules around here, that's legal.
Mann takes it in strong, and Mitchell again, and he came down with a thud, and good to see Mitchell right back up to his feet, because that sounded a lot worse than it was.
That was kind of a 50-50 call. You could have, if you're being generous to the Magic, see that as Mann burying his shoulder, and that's the call that the crowd wants. I know that.
Well, there's no question about it. We've talked about Hakeem Johnson, we've talked about Duke Mondi, and of course Tydron Beatty, the new addition to the Highlander team, seeing his first action. But Charles Mann, with his 12 points, he's been in the middle of almost everything. And defensively as well. He helped the Highlanders set the tone defensively in the first half, and his intensity and his chirping and his in-the-face style of play has been important for the Highlanders at the defensive end of the floor. Well, both teams now have hit the century mark in points. 103, make it 101. Again, a one-possession game. So the Cape Breton Highlanders, with 2:12 to go, have come into this building and put 101 points up over the current top defensive team in the NBL. But the Magic still lead by a deuce. Terry Thomas now. Mitchell out there running some interference. Asiandi was out on defense. They get it into Mitchell. Mitchell, nice little spin move, an awkward looking shot as he kind of scooped it over his head. Gets his own rebound, and big man, Tim Mitchell.
Timmy just says, let me get the ball from the hoop and I'll chase it and bring it down again.
Hakeem Johnson trying to do it himself through a crowd. And here's Mann now back on Al Stewart. He'll just slow it down. Hakeem Johnson does the splits. I just heard watching Johnson do that, but he's got a big grin on his face. He's got a lot more flexible than I am. And Stewart goes down to the floor now, and Tydron Beatty right there looking up at the referee and doesn't agree with the call.
Charles Mann has had the same look in his face these last 3-4 minutes.
So I believe that might be 6 on Mann. So we'll have to wait and see. So that's it. So Ari Stewart fouls out. Charles Mann saying it's 5. The scoreboard shows 6. They just announced 6 in the building. And now Charles Mann over having a discussion at the scorer's bench. Rob Spahn over checking on it. We just talked about how important man has been, especially defensively. So a huge moment here, and the Highlanders not going to win that argument. It does go down as the 6th foul for man. So man out of the ball game, and in comes DeMarcus Harrison.
Yeah, you can't go by the team's count of fouls. You got to go by the official score, and I'm sure the Highlanders will count them up on the broadcast afterwards. But for now, it's 6 fouls, and Charles Mann, a key performer, sits down.
So $1:29 left to go here in this 4th quarter as Al Stewart hits those valuable free throws. Now a 5-point lead, 2-possession game. Mondi puts on the brakes, nowhere to go with it. Mondi finally gets it to Johnson. Williams out on him. Stewart for help. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Hakeem Johnson didn't look comfortable when he put that up. Mad scramble, the ball all over the floor, and it's Al Stewart who comes up with it, and now they're saying that Stewart turned it over.
And good pressure there by Asiani to force him into that. And it did look like he had a little happy feet down there, but listen, the Magic have got to take solace from that solid defensive possession, and they've been chock full of those here in the second half so far, making things difficult for the Highlanders.
Well, he may only have 6 points, but certainly he's played some valuable minutes, has the 6'6" forward out of Toronto. Shane Asiandi, the University of Saskatchewan product, he's had some very effective minutes here for the Cape Breton Highlanders.
His length and springs have kept some plays alive. He had a great possession there earlier in the 3rd quarter, or early in the 4th quarter, where he got 2 straight offensive rebounds and set up a 3-pointer in the corner for Duke Mondi. So he's done some great things for the Highlanders, and yet another example of a Canadian showing out in this league.
So Hakeem Johnson and Duke Mondi, the 2 leading scorers for the Cape Breton Highlanders.
And out-of-town scoreboard, throw to me for the out-of-town scoreboard, why don't you? Because it's reached the half in London, and the St. John Riptide, a 10-point edge over London, 58-48 at the half. So good timing on the broadcast tonight. We'll end here. You guys switch right over to the London broadcast and enjoy the second half of St. John, London.
Well, I'll tell you, an embarrassment of riches in New Brunswick in the National Basketball League. A very good quality team right here in Moncton, and certainly a legit team going on at St. John. The St. John Riptide playing well early stages of this NBL season.
Yeah, and after losing Anthony Anderson in the offseason, you wondered if they might take a step back, but not so. Very strong so far.
So reset here, 109 to go in the 4th quarter. It's a 5-point lead for the Moncton Magic, 106-101. A solid effort on the road here by the Highlanders, looking for their first win. Johnson for 3, and no problem there for Hakeem Johnson.
Great play call out of the timeout. Hakeem Johnson staring down Coach Salerno in the bench. He's doing a shimmy shake.
He gave the little look back there, no doubt about it.
Stay tuned after the game, fans, on the live feed. We're gonna have a chat with the player of the game, and we've done some step up in production here to make sure that that's not a huge break here at the end of the game. We're gonna have the player of the game real quick for you, so you guys can get over and watch the London broadcast.
Don't go too far. We're gonna leave you where you are. We're gonna pop a headset on the player of the game, and at this point, you might think Terry Thomas because of the stat line, but if this game comes down to a last shot at the buzzer, who knows? That player of the game could change dramatically. So when Hakeem Johnson calmly stepped back and hit that 3-ball, Coach Joe Salerno was right there to call that timeout right away. He wanted to get his side over, talk it over, and get a nice play in here to come out of this timeout and maintain this lead. Again, just a 1-possession game now, 106-104 with 1 minute and 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, and this one you're not so worried about running clock or anything like that. The Cape Breton Highlanders are going to get their hands on the ball again no matter what. So pick your best play call and call it and go with it, and don't worry about the time that runs off the clock. Execute, take that best shot that you can get out of here, and that's got to be something involving Anthony Anderson and Terry Thomas, with, I would say, an option 2 for Timmy Mitchell if things get late in the clock.
And interesting again, coming out of that timeout, coming up the floor, it was Tydron Beatty leading the way in terms of advice to his teammates. Terry Thomas now, Johnson, physical play out on him. Thomas, ball to the floor, picks it up, puts it up, gets it there. possession game. Mondi, Thomas out on defense. Mondi swings it over to the corner. Ferguson there. Goes long. Mondi skies in. And Terry Thomas with the great defense swatting it away. And they turn it right back over. And Asiandi underneath, and Mitchell comes over. So a wild sequence, in Terry Thomas, I think he's mad at himself, David.
Well, I think Anthony Anderson is the one who's mad at himself. Kind of a bizarre pass underneath, and he's laughing to himself. Why the heck did I do that? He threw it right back underneath his own hoop when he could have held on to it. Probably gotten a foul call or looked for Terry down the floor a little bit. I think that's why Terry was a little upset. 25.8 to go. Scott Squires, David Tingley, and our NBL Canada crew, so glad to have you with us. We have got a great one cooking. It's been a lot of fun all night long, and still, with Asiandi at the line, he hits the first. A one-possession game, going to go from 3 to 2, and Asiandi calmly hits it. And again, Salerno, at the beginning of the quarter, he wanted to make sure that he had his full complement of timeouts because he knew he was probably going to need him down the stretch, and he calls another. Yeah, and you talked about how it's going to come down to free throws, as so many close games often do. Somebody for the Magic is going to have to step up and bravely swish some to put this game away.
And interesting now, on the Moncton bench, the players are off to their own, having their own discussion. Meanwhile, out on the floor, it was Coach Salerno and his staff working together for the first few seconds of that timeout before they joined the huddle.
Yeah, and that's a common thing late in the game. You want to make sure your message is unified from the coaching staff to the players, so you're all on the same page about what's going to happen, and they're going to talk specific situations. If we make, if we miss, if they make, if they miss, what specifically we're going to do here. And these are game situations that any good coach, including Coach Salerno, has talked about in practice. They've practiced these game situations, but you got to make sure you're on the same page and give those reminders to the guys in the moment. Here's what we're doing.
And I want to mention the officials again. I think that Brett Stalker, Matt Boyle, and J.P. Richard have done an outstanding job officiating this game. For the most part, we haven't had to talk about them too much. Yes, we've had a little lighthearted with some of the conversations, but overall, I think they've done a good job. There have been a couple of instances, especially down the stretch, where intensity picked up, but they've kept control of things. So a shout out again to the officiating crew here this evening at the Moncton Coliseum.
All you can ask for as a commentator and as a player and as a coach is consistency. And I think largely, call here or there, they've been very consistent, which is exactly what you want.
So let's set it up for you. 25.4 to go in the quarter. It's a 2-point lead for the Magic, 108-106. So potentially the Highlanders will get another possession because there is the slightest differential even if the Magic used all of the shot clock. Here we go. Almond inbounds, and Beatty, I think, gets called for the foul as Almond tried to make the move.
I think the referees were assuming here they wanted the foul call. Tydron has his hands up as if I wasn't planning on it. And that's 6 for Tydron as well.
So that's 3 players fouled out now for the Highlanders. Ari Stewart, Charles Mann, and now Tydron Beatty. So Beatty will watch the remaining 23.5 of this quarter from the bench.
And they ran that play specifically for Corey Almond to get the ball. I think that was plan 1 for that play. So Corey's the man they wanted to be on the line, and here he is.
So with 6 fouls to Beatty, it's a guy from the 6 who will come in to take his place, Jamal Reynolds, young man out of Toronto.
That's why you're a pro. That's just artfully done.
Artfully done from the line. There it is, a free throw. Now, if Almond can hit this, it'll make it a 2-possession game. Shot clock is off, 23.5 left in the fourth quarter. Big free throw here for Almond, and he hits it.
Still no need for 3 for Cape Breton. Take the first good one you see.
Here's Mondi up against Stewart. Mondi takes it strong to the rim, kisses it off the glass, and that only took about 5 seconds.
And that's exactly what you want. Now they've got a trap in the corner.
Pressure defense. They get it to Williams, and right there to slap at it is Reynolds. So a 2-point game, 110-108, 10.7 to go. And now Spahn over talking to referee Brett Stalker.
And I'm not sure what the call was. There wasn't a foul.
So you may have heard that come through the headset. The officials came over and said to Coach Joe Sutton, he's got 1 second to get it over.
And this is big here. They don't get it.
And now right in front of us, a big battle Asiandi and Terry Thomas got tangled, went right down in front of the timekeeping bench. Asiandi saying that Thomas was pulling on him. Both players went down to the deck.
That was a nice attempt by Terry to try to get a foul call on Asiandi. Luckily, JP Richard didn't fall for it.
Again, got to get it in quick. Thomas reaches for it, slapped away, last touched by.
And a brilliant play by Terry to get his hand on it first, thereby nullifying that 1 second that they need to get the ball over half.
Everybody was waiting to see who last touched it. The official said Cape Breton, and again, you're right, great work by Thomas to Sky. So Stewart's got it inbound, 8.7 to go. Allman, Reynolds right on top of him, wraps him up and commits the foul.
And really good execution, and yeah, Coach Lerner comes over, tells Al, great pass. And Corey, again, they got the ball in the hands, exactly the guy that they wanted. It's a good execution on these sideline out of bounds in the closing minute here for the Magic.
Well, Almond was there a moment ago on the line and calmly hit. Again, a chance to extend it to a 2-possession lead for the Magic, and he hits the first. Corey Allman, that's 21 on the game for him now, and he's perfect from the line.
Will he be the man I'm talking to after the game as player of the game? These are big shots by him to go along with the big threes throughout the match.
Allman looking to go 4 for 4, and they're all huge free throws down the stretch, and he does indeed go 4 for 4. Once again, a 2-possession game. They got to get it up quick. 2.8 to go. Mondi for 3, hits it, but the time expires, and it's close. Huge free throws, 4 for 4, and that last one he hits ends up being the difference as down the floor come the Highlanders. They hit the 3-ball, but they fall short by a point. An excellent game here this evening at the Moncton Coliseum. Both teams put on a show.
And the big smiles from the Magic coming off the floor, some signs of relief there a little bit. They had all they could handle from the Cape Breton Highlanders in this matchup, and they knew they got away with one.
And while I have a moment, I want to give a big shout out to your folks, Brian and Sue Tingley, big basketball fans watching in Riverview. So your boy did a good job tonight, Brian.
Thank you for that.
Well, an exciting game, and again, I believe we are going to see this continue as a tradition now as the Moncton Magic gather on the Magic logo at center court, and they are coming together, and they will salute the fans as well. So
it's officially a streak.
It is officially a streak. Corey Allman posted on his Instagram, it's not a streak till you get to 3. And as the Moncton Magic salute their fans, it is indeed now officially a 3-game winning streak.
And I got the TT sign from the sidelines here, so that means Terry Thomas is going to be joining us in a minute, fans. So stay tuned for our post-game chat with the player of the game.
So we'll get Terry Thomas over here. Huge game for Thomas, 12 of 22 from the floor, 4 of 8 from outside the arc. He heated up from outside when the Magic really needed some momentum. 29 points on the game, including 8 boards, 4 assists as well. So a huge game for Terry Thomas, but again, those clutch free throws down the stretch by Corey Allman, going 4 for 4 on his only 2 trips to the line. And again, the last one that he hit with just over 5 seconds left ends up being the difference in a 112-111 victory. But again, David, an excellent game here this evening. The Highlanders, oh so close, but again, it's the Magic now who have won 3 in a row on home court.
Yeah, big wins, and it sends the crowd off here for a week break here till next Friday, till we get to join you guys here again on the website and on the YouTube and on the NBL page. So it gives the fans a good taste in their mouths leaving the building, gives them some good momentum to come back in here next Friday.
Well, make sure that you visit the NBL Canada website as well as the Moncton Magic website for updated standings, statistics, as well as the upcoming Moncton Magic schedule.
And mention the app as well, the brand new app.
That's right, yeah, very good point indeed. Presto Sports has the Moncton Magic app. If you go to the App Store or the Google Play or the iOS App Store, you can get that app and download it and follow along. It's a great app, certainly for live stats as well. And we use it right here. So
Terry's all set to go whenever you are.
So I'm Scott Squires. I'm going to step aside. Thank you very much, fans, for tuning in. We'll look forward to seeing you again on Friday and Saturday. And joining on the broadcast now is the Moncton Magic player of the game. A huge night for Terry Thomas. We'll get Terry over here. We'll pop a headset on him. So just take a second here.
job, Terry.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us here. So, Magic fans, you can see through the crowd here, off and on. I'm standing over here with Terry as he gets some dap from the fans to end the game. So, Terry, big win for you guys. You guys looked really emotional coming off the floor. Talk a little bit why you guys were so pumped here to pull this one out tonight with the Cape Breton Highlanders.
Man, we're a tough team, and honestly we didn't want to give them the first win on us. To be honest with you, we have a lot of pride, and the second half we played with a lot of heart, so that's where it started from.
And they played well enough to win. I mean, they put in yeoman's work there tonight. They were tough. So what was it the difference that you guys turned a little bit in the second half?
Stops, man. They weren't missing, and it's pretty tough.
So we're gonna stop. Do we not have it? Okay. So we don't have it. We had this problem last. He told me this, so we're stopping. Okay. So take 2 here with Terry Thomas. Put the headset back on, Terry.
Sorry.
So we'll start again. It's okay, no problem. Welcome, fans, to Magic TV. Apparently now we're good to go here. So Terry, we'll do a little backup here. So you guys were super emotional coming off the floor there. A lot of fist pumps, a lot of smiles. You guys seem pretty relieved to pull this one out here tonight.
Yeah, we are.
So we're getting signals again. All right, take 3 with Terry Thomas as he joins us here in the post-game show on Magic TV. Thanks for Magic fans and NBL fans for sticking around. All right, Terry, we'll skip down the page a little bit. So you talked a little bit about stops, and what we saw was kind of a switch flip there when you guys came out here for the second half. The intensity took a big step up.
We just knew that playing defense wins games.
Yeah, so you guys, I mean, look, I think the leaders for that were, I think, you and AA and Tim Mitchell. I think the third quarter, the guys really looked to you and you pulled everybody along with you, that defensive intensity.
Yeah, we have a lot of great players like Tim, and I got to give the AA, like they're great. I mean, we have a solid core group, and we came pulling together in the second half.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about how you guys might, with so much talent offensively at that end, when you guys are having a little bit of a struggle the way you did in the first half, who's going to be that one guy that's going to pull everybody up, because you got so many candidates to do that, and it looked like AA was that guy. His shot wasn't going in, he wasn't being that offensive dynamic, but defensively and with that leadership, looked like he was the guy that kind of pulled you guys along a little bit.
Hey, man, he has a lot of, he is like me, he's one of the greatest players in this league, so, you know what I mean, his IQ alone, he knew what the problem was and he wanted to fix it, so I give kudos to him.
Dab comes from Denzel Taylor and Anthony Cox over here. Everybody giving Terry Thomas the go sign. So Terry, I think one of the keys here too in the second half was the way the defense led to your guys offensively. You carried the squad really in the first half with those 20 first half points, much more balanced in the second half, and everybody kind of took their turn to step forward.
They did, man. I really try to be a leader, and got a great, humble guys, so it's not hard.
And talk a little bit about, seemed like at the end, the play call, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the play call at the end was to get Corey Allman the ball specifically and to have him be the guy to step up and take those free throws after not having taken any all night. That seems like a difficult role to step into, and he stepped up and banged all 4 down.
We got a lot of veteran leadership, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great shooter, he's a great player, and we knew that he would knock them down.
And it seemed like you guys had that unified message. Coach Salerno did a good job. You guys, here's what we're planning on doing. And it looked like he really Coach Salerno did a good job leading you guys there in the second half and making sure everybody knew what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah, he is. Like, that's why I'm still with him after 3 years.
Well, Terry, thanks for joining and being with us here on Magic TV. A big win, 3 in a row. So I hear you guys officially weren't calling it a streak until it was 3 in a row. Now it's a winning streak, and you guys are looking to keeping that going.
I just go game by game.
Good job. Thanks for joining us, Terry.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, fans, on Magic TV.
Good.
All right.